Hello and welcome back to our coverage of the WorldSkills competition, the event designed to promote vocational education and training around the world. Competing here at the Kazan Expo Center are 63 teams chosen at their national championships to represent their countries and regions. There is so much happening here in Kazan over the next few days. At the WorldSkills conference taking place alongside the competition, experts, industry representatives and politicians are trying to work out how to make skills drive the economy forward, which skills have the greatest potential in the years and decades to come, and how better to invest in education and training of young people to reach maximum social impact. Here's WorldSkills President Simon Bartley speaking at the opening of the conference.
Our theme today and tomorrow is Skills for Change, Building Blocks for Impact. Together, we will look at and explore the challenges and trends that confront societies worldwide and look at potential solutions that skills offer. Our discussions will, as Lise mentioned, focus on three key areas. To look at how skills must match fast evolving economies where new industries are born and others vanish. Secondly, to build thriving societies, and perhaps above all, to make sure we build a sustainable ecological future for our planet through skills that are green. The conference brings together international leaders in education, government, business and industry from around the globe in order to share best practice and to learn about global trends and issues in training and education, as well, of course, of the skills of the future.
And I'm very happy to say that joining me in the studio for this hour is Etienne Nell from the WorldSkills Experts faculty. Good afternoon, so happy you could join us. Now, we managed to get through the first day and the first morning of the event. How do you think things are going so far?
Look, I personally feel this is an extremely wonderful event. And what I've seen so far has impressed me to such an extent that I've actually made the comment on a couple of occasions this morning that it's absolutely fantastic to be here and to be part of something as special as WorldSkills Russia.
That's wonderful. Now, you are our first guest from the WorldSkills Experts faculty. I'd love to know, what does it take to be able to call yourself an expert?
Look, to become an expert, first of all, you need to be a qualified artisan. You need to have the love and the passion for the skill that you are involved in. And I've been involved with WorldSkills in the welding skill area for the past 16 years. And for me, that is really such a great passion. And unfortunately, after the Abu Dhabi event, I had to resign from WorldSkills South Africa. And I was then approached to apply for the WorldSkills faculty, which I did, and I was successful in that. And again, as I said, I'm very happy to be here as a WorldSkills faculty member.
And we're very happy to have you in the studio with us for the next hour or so. I'll be coming back to you here and now and just to ask you more questions about what you do and what you think of this fantastic event. Now, when you come to a supermarket or go to a supermarket or a pharmacy, you want to be sure that the products you need to buy are of the best quality, that they can't do you any harm, that they possess all the characteristics given in their description. Now, there are specialists whose job it is to give you that kind of assurance, and Igor Zhdanov is among them right now. Hello, Igor. Tell us more about what is a very important skill.
Well, yes, Nikki. I am in something, that I may call a bit of a geek corner, but I mean, I'm wearing glasses, so I think I'm allowed to make this joke. So yes, it is all things chemical here. Maybe not as impressive in terms of the picture. There are no like explosions. There's nothing wrong going on. There's nothing breaking, or there's nothing going on in particular, but it is a very, very, very important subject for all the reasons that you have just listed, and the purity of components, and really it's all about theoretical basis for applied chemistry, because this is a combination. It's not just based on some tests that they are making, and you can see a very vivid person there, the Russia's deputy chief, who's clearly right now checking some results. He's checking some competitors' data, some competitors' results. And what they're focusing here, man, it's so much technical stuff. It's distilling, it's extracting, evaporating. They should be able to do all of that stuff and beyond. So, to put it simply, I think this is the most difficult chemistry exam possible. So imagine yourself back in a chemistry class at high school or in college, and then just multiply it by 100, put it on steroids, and this is what you get here, because it's not just about the application of all these techniques, it's also about determining the structures of different compounds. Again, it's about theory behind the applied chemistry. Of course, a lot of attention to health and risk management systems, because here, for example, we have a volunteer who is a medic, and there is a small medical station here as well, just in case anything goes wrong. I mean, nothing has, and it is highly unlikely it will, because these are highly trained and high qualified professionals here. There's no other choice. But if you can never be, it's better be safe than sorry, they say, and this is exactly the sort of approach they're taking. Again, when it comes to risk management systems, the competitors here, they are expected to take They are expected to take proactive action in terms of checking up on those and, well, implementing them in their work. Now, it is not just about competing solo, so it's not just about running tests and doing that on their own, but also it's about working in a team, because apart from all the practical and all the theory stuff, apart from following the health and the security code, these people are also supposed to show teamwork. They're supposed to show strong interpersonal skills, to be able to achieve things working together with other human beings, working together with each other. Again, there is no particular subject here, but rather there's a myriad of subjects, there's a myriad of skills these competitors are supposed to demonstrate and hone in the future, and that they are right now engaged in. So this is what's happening here. Back to you.
Igor, thank you so much. It really is fascinating, fascinating insight into the chemical laboratory technology, and it's mind-blowing what these young people can do. Now, earlier, the WorldSkills Director of Sponsorships and Partnership talked to us about the spirit of fair play and his expectations from the 4-day skills marathon. WorldSkills would be nothing close to what we see now without the contribution of sponsors, and many of whom provide high-tech, expensive equipment so the participants can show off their talents.
Well, my personal expectations are that it's going to be a fair competition, first of all, and enjoyable but tough for the competitors, since we stand for skills excellency, so they need to perform to their highest possible levels, but it all needs to be in a very fair scale. So that's the major thing. And then if you look around, I mean, it's fabulous. The venue is fantastic. The sponsors that have contributed to the organization of the event are great, all working hand in hand, and we're providing the best equipment globally to the best competitors globally. We are about the future. We are about the future of skills, future of work, and we are basically helping to develop skills globally, and this is essential for these global-sized companies, because they're looking into their own environment, into their own company, organization and manufacturing sites, and what they're lacking is skilled workforce. So it's pretty natural that they actually team up with us and help to drive up the new upskilled workforce for the future.
We're going back to the competitions now. Most of the skills which are on display there need huge efficiency and precision, as well as top knowledge of the latest technological achievement in their area. One such skill is computer numerical control turning, and Roman Kozarov is there for us to tell us why the world of today can't do without it. Roman, hi again. Looks like you're surrounded by plenty of heavy machinery there. Can you tell us more about your skill?
Absolutely, Nikki. There are quite a few people around here. All the competitors are already in action, competing for those coveted, prestigious medals. And yes, let me tell you a little bit about CNC turning, or computer numerical control. Just like you've said, it is a branch of engineering, and engineers have to find mechanical solutions to everyday problems, and that can make complex design possible. I'm going to ask the cameraman to walk with me right now so you can take a look at what is happening out here. Well, with an assembly that you may see and use every day, every single part interacts with every other. This is true of cars, smartphones, aircraft, and so on. The possibilities in CNC turning are absolutely endless. For example, there are about 10,000 parts in just one car. Engineers create assemblies of many parts, and they use many different materials through computer-assisted drawing software. And of course, each part of an assembly is made of different materials and needs different geometries, dimensions, and surface qualities. The engineer brings all these requirements into technical drawings, which are called blueprints. But who builds all these parts? To answer that question, we have to decide the best way to produce each part. Now, there are many ways of doing this, like welding, milling, casting, and 3D printing, to name just a few. But one very important method is CNC turning. CNC lathe is a machine on which material turns around an axis at high speed, and where cutting tools driven by computer software are moved to cut away excessive material to get the expected part. The machinist, or the operator, receives the blueprint. Then the operator uses the lathe in many ways to find solutions in order to build the part. Now, these machines that you're looking at right now are very expensive because they can do absolutely remarkable things. And to have an idea of this, think what it means to achieve accuracy below 10 microns, which is 6 times thinner than a human hair. So just picture that, if you will. Now, the machinist has to use a computer to tell the lathe how to move the tools and cut the parts. Now, he or she also has to set up the lathe with all the cutting tools, and those can cut almost any material imaginable. That's just to give you an example: stainless steel, plastic, soft steel, aluminium, bronze, and so on and so forth. And they also choose clamping method. This is where the material will be held firm. When the machine starts cutting material, the operator makes sure that the dimensions fit the blueprint specifications exactly. Now, for this, very accurate inspection tools are used, and a smart machinist will get the part to fit the blueprint specifications at the very first attempt. Now, the finished and quality controlled part is sent to the assembly line with every other part, and in the end, if everyone's done their job well, the finished assembly will meet expectations and, of course, please the end consumer or the customer. Now, you can see the competition is taking place as we speak, and I would love to find out more about it. And who else better to talk about this than the competition manager? And let's welcome him into the shot. This is Gernot Dolinar, competition manager. Gernot, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. So, this is not your first time at such an event, is it? How long have you been coming here?
I have currently my 20-year anniversary in the competition cycle here. That's my 20th time Can you tell I'm getting old?
No, you're fine, you're fine. What do you think about competitors that are here this year? Because you've had a chance to evaluate over your 20-year tenure here. How have they changed, and what kind of a talent are we working with today?
Well, I have the impression that over the 20 years where the technology changed and advanced, so did the competitor. The students throughout the countries, I think they're faster than we are in learning and picking up with this high speed of change in our society. So this year I'm actually surprised because the test level that we set it on purpose, higher than usual. And they are achieving this. You know, we are so surprised they're making these test projects. So we're very happy.
Can you tell us a little bit about the competition? What have the young people, what have they been tasked with? What do they have to do in order to win the prestigious medal?
Okay.
Can you tell us the process from beginning to the end?
Okay, I will try. The situation is that they don't know anything about the project when they get here. It's a secret project, okay? So whenever they get to the machine, they see the task for the first time. And it's a tough task. And let me just give you an example. As you may see here in the back, here are some examples. Let's just pick one. So we tell them, you know, you have like 3 hours time from scratch. Sit on your computer, write the CNC program in the language of that machine, you know, set your tools and make this particular part. And I heard you talking about the tolerances. Tolerances is meaning that the dimensions of this part have to be in microns. We're really talking microns. Let's say this part goes into an airplane or into the ISS or in your car or in an elevator where, you know, we are in the metal industry. So you see parts from us anywhere. So they are taking a look at the project. And then you probably heard that cowbell that we have, the start that's going, you know, and then from then on it's 3.5 hours and go. And then the end comes and we collect the part again. And like I said in the beginning, I was under the impression I only will collect half-finished parts. And so many competitors here surprised me by giving me completely finished parts. And none of us expected that. And, you know, we really have difficult projects. For them, the hard thing is, you know, to stay concentrated and focused, to work in that tolerance and on that computer programming and on that machinery, which can be a dangerous machine if you don't know what to do. Stay focused and concentrated with everything going on here. You know, you see these girls, oh, look at that guy, and then you see camera teams, and you see, like, from your country, you know, the whole team's coming and applauding you. It's tough to stay focused on that. But other than that, I have to say, we positively surprised what they can do, and we are really positively amazed of the setup here. When we came to Kazan, you know, and we put all this up here, all the equipment that they provide for the students to work, all the tools, all the material that they provide for the students to work, is everything really nicely and in a professional way prepared. So the student can come here, go straight to work.
You know, speaking of students, this profession, it's not the easiest one in the world because, again, such precision. You need so much knowledge. It's metalworks, it's computer science, it's so many things. So each individual that's working here can have so many professions in life. It doesn't succeed here. Can you talk about that? What the quality of the talent that are in CNC Turning?
I get your point, yes. CNC Turning is one of the fields in machining, in industry. Now, they are professionals in CNC Turning, and probably many of them go further in CNC Turning. But like you said, there are many talents in metrology, in inspection technology, in CNC machining, which can be milling, can be welding, can be grinding. So many of them have a very high chance to, in industry, to get any job that is related to this. It doesn't have to be only one skill. if that's what you're asking for.
Exactly,
Yeah?
that's exactly what I'm asking. And also, you know, there are 56 different disciplines here at the WorldSkills Expo, and 1,300 competitors, and of course, just as many experts that have been working with these competitors for a long time preparing for this. You've seen this for such a long time. I would like to talk about the relationship between the expert and the competitor. Is it more of a mentor-like relationship, or is it more like of a boss-employee relationship? Because these experts, in my opinion, they foster these, well, they're still kids, into something great in the future. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I have to say that depends on the culture, where they're coming from, on the country they're coming from. Let's say in most of the Western countries, it's more the body type, you know, and let's say in the Asian countries, it's more the boss and the student type. In the bigger,
A matter of respect, right?
I think a matter of respect, yeah. And also in the bigger countries, let's say Russia, you know, such a big country, you know, and for one particular expert to travel to the student, or for the student to travel to the expert, it's a little bit costly. Okay, so what many countries do, they have the expert coaches a trainer, and the trainer is the teacher of the student. Okay, but the expert is the one representing the country right here. So he is the one that gets all the information about the WorldSkills, prepares the WorldSkills, is in the technical description, but gives all that knowledge to a coach. In the smaller countries, like my country in Austria, or Liechtenstein, very small country, the expert and the trainer and the coach are all in one person. So it's the size of the country, the culture. Sorry, it's the size of the country, the culture of the country. It all differs.
I see. Also, I wanted to ask you, and then I'll let you go, just one more question. The judging process, do you take part in it, and how are they, because again, it's precision, so are microns calculated, or how is the judgment made? How do you determine a winner? And perhaps, I don't know if you can talk about that, but do you have any favorites?
Any what?
Favorites.
I have many.
Okay.
I have 28 favorites here. Honest to God.
Good answer, very good answer.
Because I'm the neutral person, I don't have a competitor in this one. I'm responsible for everything. So I'm skills manager, not an expert, okay? Not a trainer for any of the students. But talking about the inspection, you're right. We're talking about microns. So they have hand inspection tools, very expensive tools, where they can do the inspection in the machine. Okay, or they take it out of the machine and do it with an inspection machine and put it back for some more measurements. Okay, what we do is we take it out, or he delivers me the project, and then we have the easy job. We have a very, 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 very expensive measuring machine. As we do it in industry, you know, very reliable, and it can measure to the microns. And just to demonstrate it, is a big machine with a probe that goes like here, beep, 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 you know, and calculates the roundness, all the dimensions to the microns. Puts that in a computer file and prints it out for me. So we check with the printout and what did the customer want, and say, good, good, uh-oh, you know, maybe he forgot one of these. It's supposed to be two here. Oh, there are two. Maybe it's supposed to be four. Well, we can measure. So the measuring machine will go here. Uh-oh. Yeah. Give me an error, and then continues to the next. So it's a lot of things. The very, very accurate things are on the machines. Then we also have some things that are checked by the experts, because I want the experts to sit together and see the projects, measure the projects, and that gives them an understanding of where many students fail or exceed. Gives them a chance for the next time to say, aha, let's say in thread making, many students are not so good in thread making, so maybe we should focus our training on thread making in the future.
Wow, it's very interesting. Gernot, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I know you have to go make your rounds right now and make sure that everyone's doing their job correctly and according to the rules. I want to thank you once again and enjoy the rest of your time here, and we'll come and check on you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
So there you go, this particular competition, CNC Turning, the judging is absolutely objective. Like once again, like Gernot just told us, the measurement is down to microns. So the winner here will be selected very objectively. So for now, we are signing off from here, going to our very next event. And now back to you in the studio, Nikki.
Roman, thank you so much. That was such a very interesting report, and I don't think you could have found a better person to speak to be honest. He was fantastic. But right now, let's go back to the studio and my wonderful guest, Etienne. Etienne, I think what's so great about the WorldSkills movement is that you really get an insight into some of these skills, such as CNC turning, which a lot of people don't know much about at all, and you really find out how important, integral it is to making our lives work.
Yes, it is. It is extremely, it's valuable and it's really fantastic to go out there and to look at these youngsters and to see what they really can achieve by just having the skill. It's really that the empowerment that these youngsters possess and the dedication that they've got towards their skills to be at the very, very best in their careers. It is wonderful, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be celebrated. Now, I understand that inside the experts faculty, you represent all skills in manufacturing and engineering. Is that right? So do you actually participate in judging? Are you one of the experts evaluating the competitors' work?
No. We, as the experts faculty, we do not get involved with any of the evaluation, nor do we get involved with any running of the actual skill competition. Mm-hmm. Our main purpose is to look at recruitment of past experts as members of the faculty, and then also we're looking at getting some of the current experts to come on board to join the faculty as associate partners in helping us to develop other countries and members to run similar competitions in their own respective countries.
Okay, fascinating. Now, I know that most of the competitors are under the age of 22. There's an age limit for some skills, age 25, I understand. In any case, it means that they're at the start of their careers. Why do you think it's important that WorldSkills use age limits?
It is important in the fact that it is for us to promote skills in and amongst our youth. And we always say that if you give somebody a skill at a very young age, you empower that individual for the rest of his life. And therefore, in my opinion, it is extremely important to have these youngsters, or actually school leavers, taking up skills as careers. And therefore, these competitions, in my opinion, just absolutely must have a jurisdiction. Yes.
I couldn't agree more. Now, WorldSkills raises an important question. That's when should they start thinking about their career path? And one of the Champions Trust representatives did so while at school and succeeded only through trial and error, a common theme of the day.
A lot of my training was trial and error. Was you go to work and you try spiraling a bouquet over and over again and wanting to throw it against the wall because it's not working until you get it. And so my experience, and especially my experience through WorldSkills, was a lot of that trial and error, and it's also what you touched on as well, of the lifelong learning, is that skills really provide that for young people. So I learned the skill of floristry, but I also gained the other skills to be able to adapt to the changing world and to the changing future of work. So I could have easily just thought I will always just be making the same bouquet, but through the vocational education system, I also learned all the other skills of the creative problem solving and different things that have helped me to grow my own business and run a business now. So I think that my vocational education, and especially my WorldSkills experience, has given me the skills and the confidence to face the challenges as they come.
And did you, I mean, Nasib Talib's idea that we should sort of turn the system upside down, that it's best to start by getting experience, you know, working with your hands as you did so elegantly. And then perhaps, and in your case, you may not need to go back to an educational institution. Did you think that that was the best human-centric approach?
Yes, I definitely did, because it's also my experience and it's worked well for me. So it was definitely something that I was able to relate to. And I can also see that, especially for young people, not only working in this way, it's sort of, they also have the opportunity to earn as well while they're learning.
Yes.
So that's a big part of it as well. So they can start by learning on the job and in the skill, but they're also not burdening themselves with huge amounts of debt as well. So it kind of sets them up for the future in the best way possible, I think.
Now, staying with the education theme, companies like Siebel, which specialize in petrochemicals, concentrate on training young minds from early ages. This company offers education programs that are tailored to their business needs. So we're now joined by Yulia Vorodnikova, area manager at Siebel's Corporate Training Center. Thank you for coming in. It's lovely to see you. What can you tell us about the educational programs that you have at Siebel?
So, hi, first of all. Hello. So I'm really pleased to be here. Talking about educational program, we have got a lot of programs for students and for school children and also for our staff. And it's not only concentrated on professional training, but it's also about soft skills, which are necessary for future. And we also try to have an insight for future skills, because we understand that the future workers, they are also different compared to the current times. And that's why we try to work out programs which will be dealing with so-called framework of competence of engineers of future, and try to promote also the standards of WorldSkills which are integrated in these programs.
What kind of response do you get from the school children?
So frankly speaking, talking about the response, it's really great. So usually when we see that people are involved in WorldSkills and in our programs, they get the most effective input in their work, and they also show the great effectiveness at their job places, and they also are quick to be adapted in the company, because all the equipment which is provided to the company, it's usually of the very high quality, and it demands very high qualified workers. So when people get out from our programs, they are usually completely ready for working at a high level equipment.
So in holding these educational programs, are you kind of keeping an eye out for some special talent, somebody you might want to recruit in the future? Thinking
about our talents and future, it's really connected, because usually when we are working out programs for school children, we usually try to single out the best pupils in different regions. When we're working out programs for students, we also try to get the best students in these programs, and usually these best talents, starting from the school age, they show the best results when they are young specialists at the company. So that's why usually talents come into our company even from the early ages, and that's why we hope in some years the company would be made up only by best of the best.
What particular skills are you really on the look for?
So talking about skills, it's really the most maybe debatable point, because we have got different points of view. So some of our specialists think that the great priority should be done on professional skills, and that's why WorldSkills, of course, is at hand, because it usually helps us to test multi-skilled workers, and we understand that these people who are participating and who are winners in WorldSkills, they show the best results in not only in their core skills, but also in HCE, in soft skills, because teamwork is really of grand demand. And but at the same time, we understand that people with not soft skills at high level may be lures at the company, and they may be influencing the teamwork results. That's why we understand that we need talents who, of course, know a lot in the professional sphere, but they are best at team players, and they are proactive, and they have got leadership skills in order to be, again, effective in promotion of working skills at their job place.
Have you found that there's a particular area or specialty that the children are drawn to?
Maybe some years ago we were concentrated on a special particular sphere, but right now we understand that we cannot predict that a particular area would be at the stream in some years. That's why we seek children who are motivated and interested to be developed in a lot of spheres, in chemistry, in physics, in math, in programming, in computer skills, because if a person is really interested, usually he gets much quicker the other skills, and in this way we get the multi-skilled worker of future. That's why right now particular sphere is just something which doesn't limit us in choosing talents.
How does it feel being here and being surrounded by so many young and very skilled people?
Yeah, so to be here among youngsters who are really motivated to be here, not only because it's Kazan and it's international championship, but also they're motivated to show their best in professional skills. It's really great. When I first got here, I was really impressed by the atmosphere, by the emotions, and by all the opportunities which not only companies, but young people get here, because even talking about Sibur here, we are not only about professional skills in WorldSkills Kazan 2018, we are also about promotion of our ecological ideas and projects, because even if you are concentrated on professional skills, you should never forget that you are part of a big campaign aimed at saving our planet and saving our Earth. That's why when people come to Sibur Sport in this expo center, they also may find not only the information about the company, but also may test our EcoBasket project and understand that no matter where you are involved in, you are always together with ecology and the sustainability, and that's why it's really important.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us in our studio this afternoon. Yulia Vorodnikova, Area Manager at Sibor's Corporate Training Center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, our next skill requires a lot of imagination and even a certain foresight. How else can fashion designers keep up with quickly changing trends? And a great number of available fabrics and technologies makes achieving excellence very difficult, and constant training an absolute must for this skill. Well, joining us now is Medina Karchinova. Hello, Medina. Have you chosen an outfit you like best?
Hello, Nikki. Well, indeed, the WorldSkills competition continues, and this time we are here at this skill area looking at something really special. We're witnessing competition in the skill of fashion technology. And now, answering your question, well, no, I haven't yet picked up anything for my liking. Well, because the pieces of clothes that these guys are working on, well, these pieces are not ready yet, as of course it is a very complicated procedure and it takes time. Fabrics are often expensive, delicate, and easily damaged or handled incorrectly. Therefore, it's really important to be respectful of the raw materials with which they work with. Now, the process of the design that we see here requires, of course, innovation, creativity, and even some artistic talents. Now, that's also quite important. It's indeed a very delicate procedure to work with fabrics, to cut and create clothes, not only for clients from high-end fashion, but also to regular customers as well. Now, another interesting point is that the fashion industry is truly global. So, for example, a piece of clothing may be designed and prototyped in one country, but then subcontracted for manufacture in another. Now, what skills are needed for this competition? Well, the technical skills involved design, pattern construction, cutting, and clothing manufacture. And another important aspect of this particular skill is that it is essential to be aware of current fashion trends in this industry. Now, to be aware of new developments in fabrics and textile is also very necessary. I can also give you some interesting background facts on this particular technology. Now, actually, the skirt is the oldest piece of clothes after the waistcloth, and back in 1857, Charles Frederick Worth, an English tailor, marked the appearance of of the modeling profession. He organized the first fashion show in Paris where real models took part and not just mannequins. Now, let me tell you that the most common clothing materials are linen, polyester, viscose, and cotton. Now, back in 2017, during the WorldSkills competition that took place back in Abu Dhabi, the gold medal went to China, followed by Brazil and China's Taipei. And to discuss this interesting topic, this particular competition, the competition in the skill of fashion technology, I'm now joined by Donna Drain, who is the chief expert in fashion technology. Now, Donna, thank you so much for talking with us here. It is very exciting. Please tell me more about the competition.
Okay, nice to be here. The competition for fashion technology is composed of 4 modules. They will compete over 4 days, and in the modules there's a sketching module, a pattern making module, a construction module, and a draping module. They've completed their sketching module this morning, and it involves a lot of technical drawing and a great deal of design as well. So they have to design couture garments. There was a ballot draw for what sort of target market they would work with, and the design was couture, so they were very excited to draw quite elaborate, beautiful designs. And they were given a fabric swatch as well, so they have to create their own designs. They need to understand production values for the target market and how things are constructed and accurately represent that in a technical drawing. So that was quite a quick module. This afternoon they're working on patterns, which is a little bit more technical perhaps, and there's no design component at all. They're given a design that they need to create the pattern for. So they're all working with the same design and they all create the same pattern. And when they've completed the pattern, they'll need to lay it up on the fabric, and the economy of the lay is really important, and how the pattern information is interpreted is really important. The grain lines are really important so that the cut is accurate. They won't actually cut it, but we'll assess them for their ability to do the lay, and then tomorrow we'll assess the pattern itself. We'll assess how well they've interpreted the design and how well the pattern flows through, how clear the information is for cutting and construction. So that's today. That's a lot for today, actually. And then tomorrow we have the beginning of our really big construction module, which is the one that it's enormous. It's when they actually construct their garment, their main piece. So they'll actually be making a coat, which is in beautiful green wool with a nice red lining. So there's quite a bit of scope there for them to be creative. They can design their own garment entirely. So it's entirely their choice what the design is like. There are some criteria that they must include. So they'll have a certain type of collar they must work with, and a certain pocket, and a certain sleeve hem finish. And there's also a question about whether they'll have an asymmetrical design or a symmetrical design. So it's going to be really exciting. They'll have 2 days to pattern make, cut and sew the garment to a really high finish. And at the end, we'll have 32 completely different coats, which is really, I'm looking forward to seeing them.
So well, it all sounds very exciting and very complicated at the same time, but you just said 32 coats. It means you've got 32 individuals and not a team. These are individuals working on these pieces of clothing.
Yeah, correct. So we have 32 countries representing in fashion technology, which is the largest we've ever had. So it's great, it grows and grows, which is exciting. So some countries that have competed for a long time, a few brand new countries that haven't competed in fashion before, and it's going to be really good to see the 32 different designs, because even though, and you could run this competition 10 times, you'd never see the same design twice. There's an endless amount of opportunities and design options that they can employ, so it's fascinating, and some of them will be really quite spectacular, I'm sure. So
it is fascinating. It's basically they're using all of their imagination plus the technique that they have plus the resources with all the textile. And now you've mentioned that the coats are going to be made of wool, and that there's going to be some high-end couture things. And any other pieces that they're going to represent?
Well, their fourth module, they'll do a draping module, which is an interpretation of a design in 3 dimensions on the dress form. So they'll actually be given an image of a garment, and they need to replicate that on the dress form and really accurately interpret the design and represent it properly. So it's kind of like a 3-dimensional pattern technique that they need to use. It's quite a short one. The big module really is the coat construction. That's the one everybody's anxious about and everybody's been working really hard to be ready for. And there are limitations. There's a certain amount of fabric and they must use certain elements in the design. But other than that, the design options are completely limitless. They're bound by only their imagination and their time the time frame. They've only got, a 12.5-hour time. It's quite a short time to pattern, make, cut and fuse and sew the coat. And probably one of the other nice things about it is it's going to have quite an elaborate closure on it. So it's like a very old technique. It's called a frog closure, or sometimes a Chinese closure. So they need to make that from scratch as well and attach that. So, and some of those can be quite elaborate. So,
well, a lot of work ahead of them. Yeah, so much work. And I'm going to ask him this last question about the business part of the whole thing. Are they looking at possible customers, or are they thinking through the business structure of their ideas, or this is not about that?
Not so much about that. Fashion really does have a lot of different areas that people work in. So this is very much about the technical and practical side of fashion. So fashion retail and all that stuff with stylists and marketing and all that, the fashion industry is a pretty broad place. And so this is about the manufacturing and the construction, but the really high end of it. So they won't really have any opportunities to really do much with business. They have to be really considerate of how they do things, because business always relates back to costings, and so they need to manage their time well, manage their materials well. So from that perspective, yes, but there's no particular client brief, just the limitations of what we sort of created for the competition. Yeah, and the time frame. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That was really interesting, and such a great things are happening just behind us. So this is, yeah, we will definitely. I'm so interested now to look at that these coats. You mentioned 32 coats. Oh my God, it's just a dream come true, really. Thank you so much for your time. All right, now coming back to you, Nikki. As you just heard, these people behind me have a lot of work to do ahead of them, and all of this is going to be really exciting.
Medina, thank you so much. I also can't wait to see the finished pieces. I'm looking for a new coat as it happens. Thank you for now, Medina. I'll speak to you later. Now, WorldSkills is so diverse, because now we're going to go from fashion to welding, because Etienne, you're an expert in welding, and now we're yet to see this competition, aren't we? But I'm sure you've already visited the skill area. Are you satisfied with the level of this year's participants?
Oh, of course, yes. I've been to the competition site twice already. And I must congratulate the host, the organizers, the sponsors especially, the amount of work that has gone in through the workshop managers and the respective experts for what they've been doing so far. It is absolutely fantastic to go in there. And especially this morning when I walked in there, welding was just so well organized, but best of all was the smell. The fume is absolutely wonderful to smell. And I can only give them the highest thumbs up for what they've achieved so far. Really, really excellent.
You're clearly passionate about your skill. Have you ever seen any participants do so well that you think, oh, they've done better than I could do?
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what makes welding so wonderful. And in the welding community, we are a very small community. And the camaraderie between the experts and between the competitors and the experts, it's absolutely just fantastic to be among these welding experts in that welding environment. Absolutely wonderful.
Now, there is a saying that there's never enough training, you can always aim higher. Is this something you would agree with?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in equipping somebody with a skill. And, being a welder, nobody can ever take that away from you. So the younger you are and you get into the skill of welding, it's just so much better for you in the long run, because there's so many great welding careers that are actually derived from, first of all, being a welder.
Yeah. And of course, it's international. It's a skill you can do in any country around the world.
Yes, welding is one of the most scarcest skills in the world, and that's why in my life it's welding. It's in the blood.
Well, I'm sold. If this doesn't work out for me, then I'll train to be a welder, perhaps.
Yes.
Okay, well, moving on to our next skill now, because today 55% of the world's population live in urban areas, and by 2050 that's projected to increase to 70%, which means that if we can't get ourselves into nature, nature must be brought to us instead. And the skill of landscape gardening is going to be a great help in this endeavor. Let's cross live to Alexei Yaroshev Patisserie now. Alexei, what does the landscape look like where you are?
Well, given my backdrop, Nikki, you might think that I'm at a seaside on a beach or something like that, or maybe in a garden, but actually I'm at the landscape gardening skill area, and it's actually been a lot of fun. Now, as you've mentioned, landscape gardening is a very important part of our everyday life, and I would say that my in-laws are probably very jealous of me right now because this is one of their favorite pastimes, to decorate their own garden. And I've seen these men and women working their socks off here. It's literally very, very busy, very, very noisy. In order to be a master of that craft, you have to know not only the basic things about how plants and trees grow, you also have to know what weather conditions are affecting the growth of these plants. You also have to be able to construct things, and it's a multifaceted skill essentially. As you've already reckoned, I like to throw fun historical facts at you, and here are some of those. Now, scientists believe that Mesopotamians were in fact the first people to cultivate gardens. That goes back as far as 10th century before Christ. In the 17th century, in the Netherlands, a tulip bulb would cost 10 times the salary of an average citizen of Holland. And one could actually build a stone house with that money. Now, the famous French painter Claude Monet has his own gardens in the small French village of Giverny, where he constructed those, and those have become famous. Now, also the famous hanging gardens of Babylon are believed to be the prototype of what we know as landscape gardening today, and it's known as the Seven Wonders, one of the Seven Wonders of the world. So right here, we can see these men. I believe they are from the team of Hungary. They are creating a little garden of their own as well. But this is one of the biggest skill activity areas here in this particular hall. It's literally huge, and work has been going on here non-stop, a lot of fun, and I've actually tried my hand in one of those skills as well, but I believe you'll be able to see that later. So I'll go to the next one, and the next one promises to be just as exciting as this one.
Alexei, thank you so much. And just think we're going to have some perfect places for picnics at the end of the 4 days. Thank you for now, Alexei. Well, during the WorldSkills Conference 2019, several guests gathered at the panel to discuss the topic, A World at Risk, Developing the Skill Sets to Endure, Adapt and Thrive. One of the guests, Jamie Saavedra, who leads the Education Global Practice at the World Bank Group, talks about educational struggles in lower income countries. Let's listen in.
When we look at the numbers, about 50% of kids, right, of children who are finishing primary education in low and income countries do not get the fundamental skills. And that's a huge number.
50%?
Right? 50%, right, of people, half of this audience, right, if you were 10-year-olds, were finishing primary and were not being able to read and understand a story. The other ones will. And then on the other ones who will, it's much easier for them to then, that we can build all those social-emotional skills, right, all those that creative thinking, right, the collaborative thinking that one needs in order to be able then to engage in that trial and error process. And so that is a huge challenge that we face globally. How can we make sure that everyone has the fundamental skills in order to be able to participate in the development process? And one key thing is that now we know that we have a learning crisis, right? That is the problem. We know that there's that learning crisis because we can measure it. But when an educational institution fails, or a teacher in a school, or an instructor in a technical education fails, well, there's a problem, right? It's a pity, it failed. So for the technical institution, was a problem, yeah, okay, but maybe we can keep on going. But for the student, right, or for that young person who was in that technical institution, that failure is a failure for their life. That's the bankruptcy, right, that we need to avoid. So when we're talking about bankruptcy and what we're talking about is everyone having an opportunity, I don't want to think only of the people who are the creators. I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be a creator, that everyone has the opportunity to have the fundamental skills, and given that, then they can build and have the other skills that are needed in this world that is each time more uncertain.
Coming back to our wonderful guest in the studio, Etienne Nel now. Thank you for staying with us. Now, I understand that you helped organize several welding contests back home in South Africa. Was the idea to reveal skilled youth so that they could come and participate in the WorldSkills?
Yes, I've been involved with organizing what we in South Africa call the Young Welder of the Year, and I've been running these competitions for the past 20 years. With our main aim there was to promote, or mainly promote, welding under the youth in the TVET sector, the private provider sector. And basically what we do is we ran these competitions very, very similar to what we do at WorldSkills, where we use the previous competitions projects, and then we also try and facilitate or capacity build the TVET sector and the training providers so that we can get a type of a generic way of teaching and assessment underneath the shoe. But yes, we are totally looking at promoting skill as a career among our youth.
Do you feel that actually competing in a certain skill or competition is educational in itself?
Absolutely, yes. Not only is it educational for the youngsters, but it's also teaching them the camaraderie of working together, learning from one another. And I think that's the biggest asset for these youngsters, is to actually see what the others have actually mastered and transfer that skill over to one another. Yes, it's absolutely brilliant for them to compete.
You mentioned before how welding is quite a small community, really, of people around the world. Is it important for you to invigorate this, to make it sound more interesting and appealing to young people? And how can you do that?
What we do is we promote welding not only from the sense of being a welder, but what we're saying, or what we're promoting, is that once you become a welder, after that the career opportunities are so vast and great that these youngsters can actually go in, they can become welding supervisors, they become welding technologists. Some of them even go as far as in becoming welding engineers by starting off. And typically, especially in the African states, it is, people see welding as a blue collar, and it's absolutely not. It's just such a wonderful career with so many routes of progression from the actual doing the actual welding. And that's what I said on earlier. I love the smell.
You're clearly so in love with your career path, and that's so wonderful to see and so inspiring for many people watching as well, especially young people. But is there ever a time when, especially walking around the WorldSkills, when you see so many different interesting things and learn about them, any things you think, oh, I could do that?
Yes, but
Was it the fashion design, the coats?
I'm sure you can, but I doubt it very much if any of us will be able to do or to perform at the level that these youngsters perform at. They are absolutely masters in what they have achieved by just being at this international, or being on this international platform. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I said it earlier, I said it again, I'll say it again, it's so inspiring to see so many people passionate about what they do, doing so well at it. Yeah. It's really great. Thank you. Okay, well, moving on now. You know what they say, pretty is as pretty does, and our next skill does not just allow people to look good, it really helps them to feel good, more confident, more successful, something much needed in our fast-paced and stressful world. Well, Roman Kazarev gains access to the trade secrets of beauty therapy now. Roman, there must be a high concentration of strikingly beautiful people where you are, including yourself.
Oh, Nikki, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I know there's one strikingly beautiful person in the studio right now, and of course there's Alexei Yaroshevsky and Medina and Igor, and well, me, of course, as well. But definitely, what's happening behind me right now, there are people, there are young people working on their individual skills, and I'll tell you all about them right now. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the competition itself in beauty therapy. And I'll ask the cameraman to walk around a little bit and show you what is exactly going on. Well, a beauty therapist generally works in the commercial sector, offering specialist services, treatments, and advice for the skin, body care, massage, and makeup of individual clients. Well, there's a direct relationship between the nature and quality of the service required and the payments made by the clients. Now, therefore, the beauty therapist has a continuing responsibility to work professionally and interactively with the clients in order to give satisfaction and thus maintain and grow the business. Now, beauty therapy is closely associated with other parts of the service sector, such as hairdressing, fashion, and media. And can you hear me? Am I still online? And with many products and services that support it normally for commercial purposes. Well, beauty therapy also has an important therapeutic role in supporting individuals' self-esteem and equally important confidence, and also helps to ameliorate the effects of illness and can definitely aid recovery. Well, the beauty therapist works in diverse environments, including large or small salons with leisure and health-related organizations. The specialist services and treatments offered by the beauty therapist relate to the face, body, feet, hands, and nails. The beauty therapists may specialize, for example, in manicure or pedicure, but irrespective of this, work organization and management, professional attitude, client care, and relationships are the universal attributes of the outstanding beauty therapist. Well, the beauty therapist works in a one-on-one relationship with clients and can be part of a wider team. Whatever the structure of the work, the trained and experienced beauty therapist takes on a high level of personal responsibility, well, and autonomy as well. From safeguarding the health and well-being of the client through scrupulous attention to safe working to achieving exceptional makeup effects for special occasions, every treatment matters, and mistakes are largely irreversible. Well, with a growing worldwide demand for beauty therapy services and associated products and the international mobility of people, the beauty therapist faces rapidly expanding opportunities, well, and challenges as well. For the talented beauty therapists, there are many commercial and international opportunities. However, these carry with them the need to understand and work with diverse cultures and trends. The diversity of skills associated with beauty therapy is therefore likely to expand. Well, that's the beauty therapy skill for you in a nutshell. I want to talk about the competition itself right now, and as always, as we've done so many times today, we will be talking to a skill competition manager, and I'd like to welcome Miss Sue Simpson to our shot. Sue, thank you so much for speaking with us today, and right away I want to talk about the young talents that you have out here. You've been doing this since 1999, as I understand. So tell me, how has this competition evolved, and who are we looking at here today?
It's an amazing thing. We started in '99 with just 6 countries competing. We have 26 countries competing here today. So it's an amazing opportunity, and they're so diverse from all aspects and all areas of the world. The competition itself has changed so much over the time, and we're now changing every year to reflect the trends and the diversity that's happening out there. We have so many different machines and treatments that happen, so we always need to meet that. We have some fantastic sponsors who come and sponsor the skincare range, so we're trying to reflect the actual work role that the young people will do in their industry once they get out there.
WorldSkills is a competition for top-notch professionals. These competitors are already winners in their respective regions and countries, and what are their prospects in life? What are they looking at in terms of their future?
Oh, amazing. They get some amazing jobs afterwards. The experience of WorldSkills, the training that they get, the psychological and professional, the travelling just is so good for them. It's so good on their CV that when they go back, they are different people and they are so much more employable. And if when they go for jobs, they can go straight into management jobs, organisational skills and international jobs as well.
I've said earlier that if somebody who is not familiar with the industry of how much hard work it takes to become a top-notch professional in this field, and there's so in our fast-paced world, so much changes, and there's so many technologies available. How do you or these people employ cutting-edge technologies right now?
Well, in the training has changed over here, the curriculum changes, and because it is a fast changing career, that we're used to keeping up with trends all the time and watching everything that's new that's coming out there. And some of them will do all the treatments all of the time, and they will be specialists like all the young people here today in all aspects. Others will go back to specialise in one area or another that they find really more challenging and more enjoyable.
And I want to talk about the competition itself. There are 56 different disciplines here at Kazan WorldSkills, and in some of them it's quite, I wouldn't say quite easy to judge, but they're exact sciences, precision. You haven't done your part, you get a grade taken off. How can judges or experts, how can they remain objective in such an unobjective sport, if you will?
Yes, we do judgment and measurement in there. So you do, some things are measurable, so they either have or they haven't done it. But then the other side, we use the judgment there, and you have 3 judges that all decide between them. They all put their own marks in and they get the aggregate of the marks, because it is at international level, it is a judgment, it's a personal preference as well. But we break down each of the skills into individual component parts so that our judges here and experts have lots to mark. And we're marking process, so we're watching every part of the skill that they're doing, because these clients will get up and go home and we have nothing to mark afterwards. So we have to mark it all while they're still here on site.
Wow, amazing. Well, by the way, how do I look? Is everything okay with me?
Yes, everything's fine.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I'm sure, yes.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to continue to talk to you just a little bit more. So if we could touch on skills, if we can list them, what are most demanding? Where is it most difficult to work with the clients? Can we talk about that?
Yes, because all our clients are live models. And so they do many. We start in the area that's over in this far side over here. They're doing advanced facials. So this, we're working on a more mature client. So they're tailoring the treatment to match the client's skin type. And they're using the sponsors to mix the products and use the correct. And then they're going to use electrical equipment to actually tone and freshen the skin. And they're doing pedicures and eyelash tinting. We also have all the waxing hair removal treatments. That's quite a difficult one as well, using all the different techniques to remove the hair from the legs and the arms. This area here is a spa body day. So it's as though these ladies have gone to a spa for the day, and they're having a facial, and then they're having body treatments, and they're having hot stone massage, and they're having a manicure. So these ladies have been really pampered. Round the other side, we have some nail art happening. And so what's happening this time, we have a national dress from Tajikistan, and they're having to match the nail art to the outfit that we've got for them. And on the very last day, as our finale, they are going to, we have those models come in, live models in the dresses, and they're going to do their makeup as well. But makeup and nail art is a very small part of what we do. The main part is face and body treatments. As a beauty therapist, we're working with the whole body. We're working on the therapeutic aspects of everything as well. So that is where our industry changes so much. So much technology and machinery that they bring out, new aspects all the time. Every year there's something different that we can add in and change.
Wow, so it's a constant learning process.
Absolutely, yes, it is, definitely, all the time. We're all always learning. And that's the nice thing about WorldSkills, because all of us experts have to learn the new technology to train our competitors as well. So we're always learning as well.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Where do I sign up? Sue, also I wanted to talk about, because obviously these young people, they've been preparing for this competition for a very long time, and there are 1,300 competitors here in general, and just as many experts. And the relationship between the expert and competitor is also a very special one. Could you talk about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because some of them have been working 2, 3, 4 years together, so they've become very bonded and very good. When they get to the competition here, the experts have to take off that training hat and put on the judgment hat, and they have to forget that they're mums to all these ladies, that they have to step back and now become the judges of them. They do not judge their own competitor. Everybody else judges each other's competitors, because it's very hard. You become very close, very attached. Every one of them can look at their competitor and see a facial movement or a slight look or a hand movement and realise what's happening with their competitor. They know each other so well. So it really is an amazing bond.
Oh, Sue, thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Yes, thank you very much for coming and showcasing beauty therapy.
This is absolutely amazing. Once I'm done, I'll check out where I can sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on the other side and we'll sort you out.
All right, sounds good.
Very good. Okay.
Sue Simpson, ladies and gentlemen, the skill competition manager here at WorldSkills Kazan 2019 in the section of beauty therapy. And now, Nikki, back to you in the studio. There's some things I gotta do.
Roman, if they're looking for volunteers for the waxing, I do hope you're going to step up and do that. Thank you for now.
I'll put a word in for you.
And as we talk beauty there is something else worthy of this title, and that is our host city, Kazan, home to innumerable architectural masterpieces, with some of them even on the World Heritage List. It's also amazingly modern and fast-growing. Well, no doubt that Kazan, with around 1 million residents, will get the best out of the knowledge and experience the WorldSkills competition can provide. Well, I'm so lucky to be joined by another guest in our studio this hour. It's Meera Jayaraman. She's in the WorldSkills Experts faculty and specializes in creative arts and fashion skills. Meera, this WorldSkills event is an amazing celebration of skills. So happy you can join us in the studio this afternoon. Why do you think this event carries such a big importance for all the member countries?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. Well, to me, WorldSkills is an event that is absolutely amazing, but it goes way beyond the competitions. To me, WorldSkills, in fact, is a movement that has positive impact on individuals' lives, and improving societies as well as building economies. So I would say that the positive impact of WorldSkills is way, way beyond the competitions, and it's amazing that we have this event.
And your key area, the creative arts and fashion at WorldSkills Experts Faculty, what does it mean to you?
Well, to me, to be very honest, it was overwhelming to initially know that, my field was a part of WorldSkills, because oftentimes what happens is that the kind of work and the amount of work that goes into the field of creative arts and fashion is not very well known to the public out there, So it's great that WorldSkills recognizes this particular field, and it gets its much needed due, yes. Yeah.
Mira, so happy to have you with us for the next hour or so. We'll be coming back to you shortly. But for now, let's move to a skill which will be particularly interesting for those who have a sweet tooth, though I'm sure those who have none will still be struck with what they'll see. Let's cross live to Igor Zhanov now for the patisserie and confectionery competitions that have a vast list of assignments to be fulfilled. Igor.
Nikki, you were talking about beauty, you were talking about craftsmanship, you were talking about creativity. Well, the venue where we're at, it is everything above and beyond, because look at this. This is patisserie and confectionery area, and these things of beauty were made in under 4 hours time. So if that is not impressive, I don't know what is. Also, you also talked about having a sweet tooth. Well, this is all, from what I understand, it is all like sugar and caramelized sugar. But it is something that I would never have the guts to eat, and I mean, let alone even touch, let alone eat. Because these things, and I think we're gonna try and get a close up here. This is really impressive, and I just wanted to discuss it with Will Torrent, who's a UK expert on patisserie and sugar and everything and confectionery. Excuse me. Will, thank you very much for talking with me. So tell me, how is it possible to do a thing like this in under 4 hours?
Well, like all the skills, it takes months, if not years, of preparation, of practice, and of hard work. So we've got some amazing sugar. This is all made out of sugar, under 4 hours. So they will have worked with their trainers in their various countries, working on timings. They've got pretty much around 4 hours to do this. Yeah. So they will be knowing exactly how long the tire takes to make, or the ribbon takes to make, or the flower takes to make, and then they'll be able to practice and practice and practice, so that they're able to get it in the time zone.
So tell me, is it just sugar, or are there other ingredients? What are they using? Because obviously there's coloring, I can see that, but like, is it just sugar, or what are they using? This
is sugar. It's also we also use a very similar type of ingredient called isomalt, which is the same chemical structure as sugar, and it's a little bit quicker to use, slightly more brittle sometimes as well. I competed for the UK in Japan 2007, and I had to do a sugar showpiece like this, and it is very different to, say, chocolate or other types of mediums as well.
Okay. So tell me, why is it, I can see that all of them are themed with Formula One. All of them are themed with Formula One. Why is that?
So we always have a theme. In Abu Dhabi 2 years ago, the theme was street art, graffiti. This year, it's Formula One. F1 celebrated their 1,000th race this year. So we thought, Formula One takes a lot of passion, a lot of drive and determination, and fast action, fast pace, exactly like WorldSkills. So why not celebrate that here as well?
Yeah, tell me, so where this skill could be applied. I mean, a person capable of doing a masterpiece like that, is it like Michelin star awarded restaurants, or is it, what is it? Where do you work?
So for example, you will see these showpieces in five-star hotels, restaurants, big banquets. So some I've seen these at weddings. So different themes. You will make different beautiful things, whether it's nature or Formula One or weddings. And yeah, it's one of those skills that a pastry chef needs to have. And it might be that they just have a pulled little bit of ribbon on a plated dessert. So although you might not see these every day, you might see elements of those in desserts in five-star restaurants. Later on in the week, we will see chocolate bonbons, so tempering chocolate. They will be used more in chocolate shops and patisseries. We've got a mystery item today, which is more based for confectioners. So we're using that whole patisserie and confectionery trade as well.
So how long does it take to learn to do anything close to this?
Well, like any of the skills, like I said, it takes months, if not years, of training. But it takes hard work and determination. You almost have to, when you get selected to train and compete at WorldSkills, you almost have to put life on hold, because this is, we see what it means to the competitors, and when something breaks off, we've had a few tears already this morning because it means so much.
I saw a sad story. I think it was a team of Bangladesh, if I remember correctly.
Possibly. I mean, it's the thing is that when you practice for WorldSkills, you're practicing in your own work environment. There's no one around. You're there with your trainer, and you know the tools you're going to use. You then, at WorldSkills, you come to a completely different country. You've got however many thousands of people walking past. You've got international experts judging you, and it's pressure zone. It's just like Formula One. The pressure of wanting to win. All these competitors are here for a reason. They're the best in their country, and
there's no doubt about that.
And they want to be the best in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so difficult to pick a winner, and I know you're not allowed to talk about that, so I won't ask. But what I will ask is, have you ever met a person? Because I won't have the guts to, break off as little as a small spike on the gear over there, because it's a piece of art. But like, other people who actually eat this?
No, this is sugar art.
Sugar art. Yeah,
you will have seen, for example, some of the bakery art and the bakery competition. It's not so much an eating occasion. It's more of a wow. Look at that. It's a decorative exhibit. For example, you could have in a hotel or restaurant, you might have chocolates around the base. That sit in the middle of a banquet table that then a guest can take off and eat. But this is more about art than eating.
So what's going to happen? These all are spectacular, regardless of who gets the first, who gets the gold, who gets the silver, who gets the bronze. These are all spectacular. What is going to happen to these pieces?
Well, these will stay out now until the end of the competition, so that the guests can see what a pastry chef is like. This is a pastry chef in art form.
I was about to ask that. Do you think that it reflects on the personality of the person who's doing that?
Absolutely, yeah. You really start to see the personality of the competitor coming out. You might see them on the first day and go, oh, I wonder what they're going to be like, and then they produce this beautiful fine work, and that's always exciting to see, because like I said, you are seeing the personality. They're able to express themselves, and that's what's great about celebrating vocational skills and education, is that we're able to see their heart for the skill. We saw at the opening ceremony last night about passion for skills, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing real passion and real determination and excellence.
That's brilliant. How long have you been doing this?
So I competed in 2007.
Yeah, but obviously by that time you had to have quite an experience.
So I started training when I was 15 at the Fat Duck restaurant with Heston Blumenthal. It was 3 Michelin star.
That's a fancy place
quite a nice way
to
train.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but
it's a bit of a jump start.
and then went on to university to study a vocational degree in Culinary Arts, where I met my trainer, who is also the skills competition manager for Patisserie here. And that's when I discovered that I loved all things sweet. I mean, I love cooking, but patisserie is where it's at.
So where one has to go to try something created by your hands?
I get to work with lots of different companies on a consultancy basis. But what I'm super passionate about now is, as an ex-competitor, giving back to the new team of competitors. Just to go, I've been here. I know how it feels. I know how you're feeling.
Okay, Will Torrent, thank you so much for having time to talk to me. No Cheers. So yeah, you heard the person. Let's just enjoy. Let's just show our viewers these pieces of art, because now we know that these are truly pieces of art there. And yes, indeed, you again, if you missed what Will was saying, there are high-class hotels and restaurants. Some people, they could have their own shops. For instance, like in Belgium and other places known for their chocolates. And speaking of things that the judges are looking at here, that would be a lot of things. Let me tell you, that would be time, quantity, variety, weight, texture, taste, theme, and creativity. Well, again, speaking of creativity, none of these persons can be denied that. I mean, there's so many different interpretations of Formula One. Like, you don't see a single, there's no just a car here, just a Formula One car. No, all of these are truly artistic interpretations of the race. So Nikki, I mean, I can talk for ages about it, but there's plenty of other stuff going on here, so I'll let my colleagues pick up from here.
Igor, thank you so much. Absolutely impressive stuff, but don't even think about breaking off a piece of those pieces of art, will you? Now, as you know, we've been dipping in and out of the WorldSkills conference throughout the day, bringing you all the highlights. And another guest from the panel, Heinz Koller, who is the Regional Director for the International Labour Organization, shared his thoughts on working rights.
No matter what you do, if you are a gig worker, if you work in a factory, if you are a service provider, you have certain rights, regardless of your status. That starts actually with the ILO Human Rights at Work, freedom of association, collective bargaining, fighting forced labor, going against child labor, and non-discrimination. But also questions like an adequate living wage, like a maximum working hours, and, very important, occupational safety and health in work. Work should not kill you. Obviously, we also need to promote and invest in inclusive and sustainable growth. And this is really the questions, where are the jobs of the future are coming from? Obviously, digitalization is the big, I would say, hype right now, but there are also other sectors which are very important. I just would like to quote, for instance, the just transition to a green economy, or the increasing importance of the care economy. Do we really value appropriately the care services, for instance, women are delivering in their families? Do we need to change that? Do we need to pay for this, for instance? And also jobs in the rural economy, also very important. All this goes obviously within the framework of the Agenda 2030 and the question in particular of SDG 8 on decent work. To finalize, since the ILO is the only and the oldest tripartite organization with a normative agenda about these rights, which I just mentioned, we feel that our model has actually worked well over the last 100 years. So we do not see a reason why it should not work for the next 100 years. And very much important, and there I think Mr. Taleb will agree, we try to have a trial and error, because we work together with governments, employers and workers to try to come up with the best solution in the world of work.
Well, coming back to our studio guest now, Meera Jayaraman. I understand that your main area of expertise is visual merchandising. Why don't you tell us what is the best part of this job for you?
Well, yes, my specialization has been in visual merchandising, and I've been doing this close to 20 years now. And yes, it's an extremely interesting career path. To put it in simple words, basically visual merchandising is the art of displaying merchandise inside a store in a way that it attracts the customers and entices them to buy and to make purchases. So basically everything that you see inside a store in a fashion retail outlet, or it could even be a lifestyle retail outlet, ranging from the window display to the way the merchandise is displayed inside the store, the fixtures, the layout of the stores, and all of the signs that you see inside a store, everything falls under visual merchandising. And because we work a lot with creative concepts, it's a very interesting career path for the creatively inclined, and it has a lot of benefits to it. So, I mean, you get to ideate on interesting and amazing concepts, and your creativity goes out there inside the store, and you also get to see the benefits and the rewards, which directly translate into sales. So I think it has a lot of benefits to it as a career path. At the same time, it's extremely interesting. And yeah, it's something which I totally love and intend doing it a lot more.
Why do you think young people from all around the world, regardless of where they come from, should have ambitions in this area of skill?
Well, the way I look at it is that, I mean, retail and shopping is very much a part of our lives, you know, and there's just so much work that goes into this particular line. I just think that the moment the exposure is out there in the world, a lot of people would genuinely be interested in taking up this field. And like I said, for the creatively and artistically inclined, this is something which gives a lot of career satisfaction.
What other kind of skills go into being a working in visual merchandising? I mean, do you have to have some aspects of fashion or psychology, perhaps, to be able to do this job well?
Well, it's interesting you ask me this question because I joke around with my competitors sometimes and I tell them that, you know, you're wearing many hats at the same time because visual merchandising to me is honestly a combination of many skills. So for starters, I'd say that yes, the knowledge of graphic design is extremely important because as a visual artist, when you are explaining your concept to the brand team, for whatever merchandise you're doing your display for, it's very important that you make drawings to scale and explain to them what exactly you intend doing inside the store. And before you implement that, it's very important for the brand team to understand what you've done, which is where the graphic design software acts as a very important tool. And you know, your colors and everything else that you play around with, it can be very well conceptualized inside a graphic art. And coming to fashion, well, yes, visual merchandising is done across industries, fashion and lifestyle. However, the way we buy fashion is very different. We buy clothes when they look very aesthetic and the way they are styled. So it's extremely important for a visual merchandiser to have good knowledge of aesthetics and styling and fashion and you always have to be a little ahead of your time. Which is why the way you dress up a mannequin head to toe or the way you display the merchandise inside the store must be done in a way where even the most fashion-aware customer feels that they need to probably upgrade their style level to what they see inside the store. And yeah, so it's very important that you have a lot of fashion awareness as far as visual merchandising is concerned.
I suppose thinking from the psychological aspect of it all, different things appeal to different people.
Yes.
So I guess you have to find some kind of medium that will appeal to the masses. How do you do that?
I would love to answer that question because whenever we create a concept, when it comes to our window display or the in-store, what we get is a client profile. And the client profile is divided into the demographic data of the client, which is their age and everything else, which is factual information, and then the psychographic profile of the client, which is actually a lot more important to us because the moment you have the psychographic profile, you know exactly how to dress up your mannequin, style your mannequin or do the display because is your client somebody who wants to blend into the crowd or stand out? Is she somebody who's very conservative with her clothing choice or someone who likes to be a little edgy? So when we get to know the psychographic data of the customer, it gets a lot easier for us to ideate, conceptualize, and then completely go ahead with the idea and the concept.
Yet again, I'm learning that one skill, such as visual merchandising, there's so much that goes into it, isn't there? So much.
Yeah.
Thank you for now, Mira. Now, for many decades, some countries have been building a so-called post-industrial economy, reducing the importance of manufacturing and concentrating on services, information and research. But in recent years, as the global economy has entered a turbulent period, many experts have come to the conclusion that such unbalanced development could be a grave mistake. So most countries are now trying to revive or give a boost to their industries. New technologies require specialists who will be able to install, maintain and repair the machinery at these plants and factories. So Medina Korchinova went to check out the skill. Medina, did they manage to make it look like a factory at the skill? What are people doing there?
Well, as the WorldSkills competition continues, this time we're looking at one particular skill that requires concentration and attention to details. Now, answering your question, what are they doing? Well, we've got a lot of teams here participating in this competition, but we're standing very close to two teams, one team from Russia and another one from Japan. And right now they're building some sort of a machinery and they're checking in, and there are a lot of experts coming in and checking every step of the way these participants have to go through. Now, the competitors here are most often involved with installing, maintaining, repairing, and removing machinery in industrial plants and factories. They will plan and design, select and install mechanical industrial systems to a high standard. Now, as you can see right now, these experts are checking. There is a Russia expert, and I guess a Russia expert is helping right now the Japan participants to continue their work on this particular engine. And we're moving on. We're looking at other participants here. Now, all of them will be able to do what they require. First of all, they need deep knowledge, and not only of the industrial systems, but mostly of the equipment that they're dealing with. Generally, people involved in this area of the industry work in teams, but sometimes alone, as we see here at this very competition. It is a very responsible job, and there is no place for any mistakes, as mistakes here can be life-threatening and also seriously costly. Every step in the process matters. Concentration, precision, and attention to detail all are essential in this business. So the industrial mechanic millwright works indoors and outdoors and on small and large projects. Well, if you think it can be for you, well, then you like craftsmanship, making things using tools. Back in 2017, the WorldSkills competition that took place in Abu Dhabi, the gold went to the participants from China, followed by Brazil and Australia. So we will just have to wait and see who's gonna score the first 3 places this year. Now, earlier, me and my team, we went to the electronic skill area and not only looked at something that we've never witnessed before, but we also had a chance to try something new. Listen to that and have a look. So here at WorldSkills competition, people can not only witness different teams competing in their skills areas, but also there is a possibility to try some skills yourself. And this is exactly what I'm going to do now. I am right now at the electronic skill area, and this is a try a skill section. And I'm going to try and work with, I've got some tools here, I've got a battery, I've got some metal lines here, and I've got a special PCB board, and I'm gonna work and try. There are lights here, so I need to make these lights go on. So this is what I'm gonna do now. First stage of this try skill is over. I adjusted 5 metal sticks into this board. I know very little of what I'm doing, but the Chinese team is really helping me out here. So I'm midway of preparing this board to work and the lights to go on over here. Now, I gotta say that this particular equipment here is like the whole work here is very delicate, and this equipment is extremely sensitive because it's rather hot. Now, I have to cut this little lines off from the board, and as well the work is delicate and you have to take time and be extremely attentive to what you're doing. Right now is that we are adjusting. Oh God, this is really difficult. We are adjusting a special switch for the lights to the board, and I'm using this extremely sensitive equipment. And I can tell you one thing, it does look very easy from when you're just watching the whole thing, but the process is actually very difficult. I can't do that without the help of my Chinese friends here. Could you please help me? Yeah. All right, so this is the last step of my way here. This is the last stage. We need to download a special program onto this board, a special software, so these lights will go on and my work here is done. So let's have a try to do that. Thank you a lot. And I'm gonna take that as a souvenir from this wonderful competition.
Medina Konstanova there. Now, coming back to our studio guest, Mira, we know that WorldSkills is not just about competing, it's also about educating and training. Now, as an expert, do you participate in any such program to do with this?
Yes, of course I do. And I totally agree with you that the WorldSkills competitions is not just about competing. Well, the competition bit definitely sets the bar, raises the bar, sets a benchmark of excellence as to how good the skill should be. And the medalists, whoever win the gold medals, they are setting the bar of excellence. However, the process of the competition, which goes on for about 4 days, as an expert, I have learned a lot from experts from the other countries, and we learn a lot from each other. And we also understand how the same skill is practiced in different countries, across various cultures. And a lot of what we learn, we use it to practice in our own respective countries and colleges and educational institutions. So I think while competing is great and winning awards is really amazing, there's a lot more to the process of the competition itself. And it has a lot of benefits to it.
To be able to work in the creative industries, do you think it takes some kind of natural talent? Do you have to be a creative person, or is this something that can be taught and learned and practiced?
Well, honestly, I'd say yes, you can learn a lot of it, but there are a lot of qualities in you that have to be inherently there in you. You know, one has to be interested in trying out new concepts. One has to be a little bit creative in the way they think, a little bit out of the box, I must say. And one has to love fashion and style, especially when it comes to design, visual merchandising pertaining to the fashion industry. And yes, I'd say it's a bit of both, you know. You should be creatively inclined, artistically inclined at the same time. There are a lot of things that you can learn as you go. So,
visual merchandising as a career sounds so interesting. I think a lot of young people, maybe they'll be thinking, oh, I should go do something more reliable. I should go into computing or something manufacturing, something that they can be assured that they will get a job. What would you say to those young people who may be switching their minds from something they want to do in the creative industries to do something more practical? What advice would you give them?
well, honestly, I'd say that do what you love, you know, because the moment you have your heart and soul into something and you're very passionate about something, you know, you will just enjoy it thoroughly. And yes, I mean, I do understand that a lot of people consider certain, you know, job profiles to be more practical, but let me tell all these people out there that, you know, visual merchandising is a real job which exists in a very real industry. And yes, there are a lot of benefits to it, you know, so for the youngsters who are inclined towards something like this, I'd say just go for it. Don't even think about it twice, you know, because it has a lot of benefits to it, yeah.
There's so many talented young people attending this 4-day event. I mean, is there any particular skill area which completely blows your mind?
Yes, and you know, I'd say, which is exactly why I just love the concept of WorldSkills competitions, because a lot of fields similar to visual merchandising give these youngsters the exposure, because I do understand that many people are aware of this field, but there are so many who are not aware of this, you know, because the moment they enter the store, they think that everything that you see inside the store is probably taken care by the staff of the store or of a retail outlet. But then there is this team of visual merchandisers sitting out there who probably never get seen, you know, in the background, who are doing a lot of these things. So when you have a platform like WorldSkills that actually showcases these skills, I think the exposure that it gives to these youngsters is amazing, because exposure, I'd say, is key, the most important thing, because until and unless you know that there are fields like these that exist, there are career paths like these that exist, you wouldn't even know that you would have wanted to go for it. So that's my thinking.
I suppose in like the creative skill area, it's important to push boundaries and take risks. How do you encourage young people not to stay within the certain kind of rules that we've seen before and really push the boundaries? How do you do that?
Well, I think before they can push boundaries, they need to understand where would they go from here, you know, because that information that they get is very important. They need to know that, okay, if I break all rules and say, for example, I don't want to do something very, very practical and I want to get into something artistic, they need to know that, yes, even if you do that, right, there is some prospect of getting into a career path that will take you places. So I think they should break boundaries and just, you know, explore all kinds of new avenues and venture into all these fields. It's very important.
In attending the WorldSkills movement and being a part of it, is there any particular situation or person or something that happened that really struck you, that made you think this is so important that we continue to bring this event to the world?
Well, I think I just say that when it comes to especially my skill, every competition, you know, when I look at every WorldSkills competition, I just feel the way we are upgrading our skill, it's so new, it's so different, and there's a lot the industry also can take from these WorldSkills competition, where the same competitors go out there in the industry and come up with more creative ideas and set new benchmarks from what they have learned here. So yes, I just think it has a lot of benefits.
Thank you, Mira. It's so wonderful having you in the studio with us. Thank you again. Now, Henry Ford, the legendary American car manufacturer, once said that a customer can have his car painted any color he wants, as long as the color is black. It was the dawn of the mass production era, and black paint for all cars meant a lower price tag. Now, 100 years later, people do not need to confine themselves to black cars only. They want a choice, and they want to get it in abundance. Well, Alexei Yarashevsky is at the car painting skill for us now. So, Alexei, did you have a go at painting something yourself yet?
Absolutely. In fact, I have a scratch on the bump of my car, and I'm really jealous of these guys because they know how to do it themselves and I cannot. Now, it seems like an easy skill, but in fact, it is very, very complicated because you have to match the color of the car, and if you need to, for instance, rectify a scratch, you need to make sure that when the client gets the car back, he or she would not see a thing, and that is exactly what these guys are masters of. Now, also one interesting thing. Back in the days, let's say 1920s, it took about 2 or 3 days to dry the paint. Now they have the special heat lamps, which are basically enabling the paint to dry in just literally a few minutes. We saw just a few minutes ago how this brand new repainted door of a car was dried in a matter of minutes. Also, one interesting fact, remember the song by one of the best rock bands in the history of rock and roll music, Rolling Stones. They have a song called Painted Black. Well, I've never actually realized that there's a double meaning to this. Up until 1920s, all the cars in the world were painted black because of the functionality of the color. Obviously, since 1923, you can have a blue car, you can have a red car, you can have all variety of colors. That is after a nitrocellulose paint was created, thus enabling a full spectrum of colors. Now, obviously, this is one of the biggest skill areas. There are little, I would say, cubicles where the paint masters are located over there, and they are each doing their job. Huge presence of different teams over here. I can see the Germany team. I've also seen a Hungarian team. There's a Russian team over there handling red cars as well. It's all looks very quite exciting here. And I have to say that I was talking about some historical facts here. Not only in the 1923 sort of revolution happened when cars were painted not only in the black color but other colors as well. In the 1960s, the durability of car paint was dramatically increased when acrylic paints was introduced into the market. It's worth mentioning as well that car painting is a very high in demand skill these days, simply because there are a lot of cars in the world. Some families have 2 or 3 cars, and it's inevitable that 1 or 2 scratches will appear even if you don't have any traffic accidents. So these guys here are definitely in demand in the world of labor, and their skill is definitely one of the most used. And I'm moving on now to the next skill, which really excites me a lot as well because I know nothing about it.
That's wonderful. Alexei Yarashevsky, thank you. Now, WorldSkills is not only about competitors, but also about the experts. Nicholas Godel, chief expert in mechatronics, discusses the WorldSkills competition from his expert perspective.
For me, it's meant a lot, WorldSkills competition. So I'm coming from Switzerland, and Switzerland is also very well known for our vocational education system. And with WorldSkills, we can represent what is the skills, what is competencies for the young people. So we need these young people inside the industry to support the economy in each country. And also it's good for a country who doesn't have this kind of system so they can come here and they can see, we can exchange, so they can also build up the education system in all the country worldwide. I think the visitor will like the competition, the skills competition when you can see something moving on. Maybe with big machine, you can see competitors working, maybe the painter, because you see something graphical. Every skills when you see the competitors moving, building something. So maybe at the beginning of the competition it's empty, and at the end you can see something. Expert has already the skills. He knows what should the competitors have to come here. So every expert has his own competencies, and every expert tries to give the best tips and tricks and train them so that the competitors come here with the best competence. As a chief expert is to make sure that the competition is running and and respect the rules, and we like to have fairness. I'm also responsible that the process that we have built, that also this process will be realized. Also, I like to have a good organization, so every day it's running good, that competitors can work in a safe and fairness, and at the end of the competition that we can say we have a very nice competition. Competitors can say that, experts can say that, and everybody is happy at the end.
Well, still here, keeping me company in the studio is Mira Jayaraman, a member of the WorldSkills Experts faculty and a specialist in visual merchandising. Mira, tell us what's it like to be a part of the Experts faculty?
Wow, it's lovely. It's an amazing experience because now here we get a chance to go one step beyond what we have probably been doing before, and involve a lot of people into this group where we can help a lot of member countries, to be a part of WorldSkills, and we can train trainers and grow this whole movement into something a lot bigger than, like I said, just the competition. So it's an amazing experience to be a part of this group and to interact with people from all over the world and get everyone's perspective on how they would like to see the skills upgrade in different countries all over the world. So it's a lovely experience.
Do you build quite strong connections with the other experts? Do you keep in touch and exchange views and your different skills?
Oh yes, of course we do. And the best part about Experts faculty is that we all belong to different skill sectors. So it's very nice to know and understand skills from a very different sector as compared to creative arts and fashion, where I'm from. So the kind of knowledge we get from each other and understand how our respective professions are, and what happens in the competitions, I think it's an overwhelming experience, and the amount of exposure we get through this also is really great. So I just love this, and feel very honored to be a part of this group.
I suppose coming here to the WorldSkills, for the kids it's great, for the young people it's great, because it really expands their horizons, but also for experts like yourself, it also expands your horizons too.
Well, yes, it does. I mean, yes, for young kids, like I said before, there's a lot of exposure. So, now they know that they have so many more choices where they can get into when, as and when they plan. But for us, it's again an amazing experience because we have spent so many years either training students in our respective countries or working in the professions connected to our trade. But now we are able to take this many more steps further by, being a part of the competition, training not just the competitors, but also being a part of the evaluation process and understanding the skill on an international level. Mm-hmm. So this is something which takes us many more notches up there on an international level. So I think it's a great experience for us experts because our learning doesn't stop. We learn so much more here. Yes, we do train, we do teach, but we all learn from each other as well. So I think it has a 360-degree benefit completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mira.
Thank you so much.
Well, WorldSkills is not just about competing. Last night, the official opening ceremony for WorldSkills competition was held at the Kazan Arena Stadium, the very one which hosted several World Cup games last summer. You might remember that. Last night, tens of thousands of spectators were enjoying the exciting show. Let's take a look.
Господа, председатель правительства Российской Федерации.
The WorldSkills flag is being carried by the 10 members of the WorldSkills Champion. Belarus!
Китай!
China!
Новая Зеландия! Нидерланды! Китай! Соединенные Штаты Америки!
Almost at the end of our first day here at the WorldSkills, and you might be thinking about what to have for dinner. So to work up an appetite, I suggest we talk to Roman Kozyrev, who is appropriately at the lunchtime skill. Roman, tell us more about the yummy foods you've been surrounded by.
Yes, Nikki, finally it is time for some cooking. It's not only lunch, I think it's getting closer to dinner already here in Kazan, and I am getting quite hungry. And man, I'm just so lucky today. First beauty therapy, now cooking. I wonder what I did right in my life. But speaking of what I did in my life, actually this skill, this competition is quite close to what I used to do when I was a teenager. When I was 15 years old, at that time I lived on an island of Cyprus, and it was customary for young men to work, to help their families, if you will. And one of the jobs that I have was that of an assistant chef in a Chinese restaurant. So definitely this one skill is very interesting, and hopefully I'll get to try some of the dishes, although I was told that this would not be possible and only the judges will be able to do that. Nevertheless, we are in this beautiful Republic of Tatarstan and Kazan, and the food here is quite great. So in any case, I want to tell you a little bit about this competition, about the food that's being prepared here. And as I'm talking to you, I'd like the cameraman to start filming what's happening behind me. You can see the chefs are already in round 2 in action, and something about this competition in general, a professional chef can work in a wide range of establishments, including high-class restaurants and hotels, welfare catering such as hospitals and residential homes, and industrial sites providing catering services to staff. Well, a range of skills and customer expectations will vary according to the workplace, and there's also a direct relationship between the nature and quality of the service provided and the payment made by the customer or corporate client. As well as the skill of cooking, the role of a chef will also demand further skills that relate to cooking in a commercial setting, and therefore working to a budget or expected profit margin. Now, the skills include menu compilation and costing, controlling correct storage of stock, planning work for self and others, and of course managing a whole kitchen brigade. The chef in a high-class hotel or restaurant offering fine dining will need to demonstrate outstanding skills in food preparation and presentation. They will be expected to create and adapt dishes that meet the expectations of demanding customers who are used to dining in exclusive restaurants. Now, fashions and trends in cuisine fluctuate, so it's important that the top-class chef keeps abreast of these trends and adapts their product and service accordingly. Now, the customer wishing to experience fine dining is expecting a memorable meal experience which incorporates the setting and ambiance of the restaurant. Also restaurant theater and outstanding customer care, as well as exceptional food. Strict maintenance of the highest personal and food hygiene and safety are paramount at all times, wherever they are. Failure to fulfill this requirement can have a devastating impact on diners' health and well-being and may cause irreparable damage to the restaurant's reputation and business. Now, commercial kitchens are equipped with complex specialist equipment that must be used carefully to avoid accident and injury. Kitchens are potentially dangerous places to work at, so staff work under intense pressure, often in a confined space, working with hot food and dangerous tools and equipment. Effective communication skills are also essential for the chef. A professional kitchen is a high-pressure environment where teams of chefs specializing in various producing aspects of the menu work together to produce the entire meal. Coordination of the kitchen brigade is essential to quality assure the dishes being sent to the restaurant and to meet very tight time frames. In addition, the kitchen team need to work effectively with other departments in the hotel or restaurant to ensure a good overall experience for the guests. And with the globalization of cuisine, chefs can work all over the world. Talented chefs are always in demand and have opportunities to travel and work in some of the most interesting and exciting global destinations. And this carries with it the need to appreciate diverse cultures, especially with regard to dietary requirements and conditions. So this is it in a nutshell about the skill that's happening here. And of course, as in every live shot that we had today, we have talked to experts, we have talked to skill competition managers, but now I have a surprise for you, because we are actually going to talk to one of the trainers of one of the competitors, and we'll find out what it takes to prepare for a WorldSkills event that's held every 2 years, mind you. So I'd like to welcome to our shot Miss Deborah Whitebread. Hi there. Hi, Deborah. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for stopping by. So you are from Australia, and you have someone competing here. Can you tell us about the preparation and the heart and soul that you've put into preparing your athlete competitor?
Yeah, he is an athlete. His name's Chris. He's from Sydney. He works at the Star Casino and he trains at Ride TAFE. He won the national competition just over a year ago, and since then we've been training 4 days a week to get him prepared for today's competition. So day one today, very nervous. I'm probably more nervous than he is. He looks pretty calm, but we've been training for this for a long time and he's doing really well. Very proud of him already.
Now, what does it take? Do you know you have certain specifications that must be met, certain requirements, and what goes into actual training?
So you have to be of a certain age to compete at international competition. So all of these competitors are around about 22 years of age. But to make a fantastic competitor, you've got to be motivated, you've got to be passionate about your industry, and you've got to be willing to take feedback, because obviously competition is very different to industry. You've just got to be at the top of your game, and you've just got to be meticulous in everything that you do. So it's attention to detail, it's making sure your tastes are fantastic, making sure that your cooking methods are spot on. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Can you talk about the partnership that there is between an expert, the trainer, and the competitor, him or herself?
Sure, it's a very close partnership. I've been working with Anthony Smith, which is the Australian expert, for probably about 12 years in WorldSkills. This is my first time we've got a competitor to get to international, although she's had a few international competitors. But she has been an expert at international 3 times now, so she could give me very clear mentoring on the training that I needed to do with Chris. So she gave us very clear guidelines of the standards that we need to meet, because there's everything. There's hygiene, there's bench work, there's organisation, there's a certain way that you have to plate up your dishes. So she was with us every step of the way. We both put in a lot of time into training. Most of it is voluntary, but we're happy to do that to support young people. And both of us are experienced chefs, so we're passionate about our industry and we'll do anything we can to support young people.
This sounds absolutely amazing, but since we are at cooking skill right now, if we could talk a little bit more about food so all our viewers can salivate. Now, you can start salivating right now, people.
Okay.
So what are we cooking?
Okay, so day one, they have to prepare a cream of vegetable soup. In that soup, they have to put egg yolks and they have to put cream. It has to be garnished. Also with day one, they have to do what we call precision cuts. So they have to do some turned vegetables, something called a brunoise, and also a julienne. So that's day one. So with the cream of vegetable soup, Chris is doing a mushroom. So it's got a really good flavour. All of his techniques are spot on, his seasoning's spot on, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him put it up. Tomorrow is the meat day, so they get a mystery meat. They know that it's a beef fillet, so he's got to cook a beef fillet which is going to be poached. He's also got to do a gratinated dish. There's got to be 3 vegetable components and a starch and also a sauce. So that's the day 2. Day 3 is a fish day, so his mystery fish is a salmon. And his mystery spice with that is paprika. So that again, he has to do a sauce, which will be a butter sauce this time, 3 vegetable components. And he's got to use pan frying and steaming. And day 4, he has to prepare a warm cake, which is baked. He has to serve on the same plate a chocolate mousse. He has a mystery fruit, which we now know is a peach, and the mystery nut is a pistachio. So he has all of his components done. We just were waiting to find out what the fruit and the nut and the other mystery ingredients were. So he's very well prepared, so he can adapt all of his components to suit the mystery. So going into the competition, I'm confident with all of his skills and just hope he can do well all the way through. But as I say, I'm proud of him already to get into international level. It's amazing.
Well, I'll get back to you in just a second. Please don't go anywhere. I just want to get camera and get a shot of me. Does it show right now, Nikki, that I am quite hungry, and as soon as this is over, I'm hitting one of the restaurants or one of those Meals on Wheels carts around there. How about you, Nikki? How are you feeling?
Well, Ramon, Deborah had me at chocolate mousse. Just hit me right there, that chocolate mousse.
Well, I'm going to get back to Deborah right now
Please
again,
do.
because there are a couple more things that I want to discuss. Cooking is, of course, one of the most exciting events here at WorldSkills Kazan. Deborah, have you had a chance to take a look at what the others are doing? Are you allowed to, or what do you think of the level of talent that's present here at WorldSkills? And what do you think about, well, these are basically all young people. This is the future of our cooking.
Yeah,
so can you talk about that?
Sure. Well, all of the competitors have won a gold, silver or bronze at their national competitions in their countries. They are the best of the best in the country when they compete at that level, and then they have to meet certain criteria to get onto their national team. So Chris is what we call a skillaroo. So for him to be part of that team, he had to meet a few challenges along the way. So he had to compete in some other competitions. So he competed in China at the Belt and Road competition. We also had a Global Skills Challenge in Australia. So all of the competitors are at the top of their game. They would have been training very, very hard and looking at the first heat, because cookery is the largest category of WorldSkills. There's 48 competitors. So, to be in that elite group is amazing. So I've seen some of the dishes in the first heat, because there's 2 heats for cookery. So some of the dishes that were put up this morning were exquisite. But then you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, because there's all that blind tasting. You can't just look at a dish and say, that looks fantastic, that's a winner, because you don't know what the hygiene's been like, you don't know what the flavours have been like. So there's so much more that goes into it. Organisation, even the pat down at the end of the day, that's all being marked right the way through. So it's, from the very minute that you step into your kitchen to the very, very end when you leave the kitchen, you're being marked all the time.
Deborah, I don't know if I can say this, but thank you very much for a tasty conversation. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, and best of luck to you. Best of luck to the rest of the competition, and hopefully one day I'll visit Australia, because I heard the food's there is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, come down anytime. You're more than welcome.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Well, there you go. That was our conversation with Deborah Whitebread. She's a trainer for an Australian competitor. Like I said, very tasty conversation. I'm quite hungry at the moment. I'm sure all our viewers are, and all of our staff that's working behind the scenes. So perhaps enough from me right now, and back to you in the studio, Nikki, and please don't feel jealous.
Thank you, Roman. I would like to know why our studio isn't located closer to the cooking and further away from the stone masonry that we can hear in the background. Maybe next time. Thank you, Roman. Well, joining me now in the studio is a new, fresh, wonderful guest, Pearl So, WorldSkills representative for Asia, who previously competed in the visual merchandising and window dressing skill. Pearl, wonderful to have you in the studio with us. I'm sorry about the noise. Now, the world we're living in today is not a simple place, as we know. Sometimes it's not a very pleasant place either. Do you believe that these skills can change that?
It's definitely. I always believe skills can change lives. So like my personal story, in my childhood, I'm never good at every study subject. Like I'm not good at reading, not good at sporting, but I'm only good at art, the drawing thing. So that's why I promised myself when I grow up I have to follow my passion of art and drawing stuff. So that's why I'm now an exhibition designer, and yeah, I'm working as a freelancer.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to have you in the studio with us for the next hour or so, maybe less than an hour, but it's still great to have you here. Now, from beautiful thing, well, not every skill is beautiful, but it's maybe useful. The next skill we're going to talk about is literally ancient. Think the Great Wall of China, Moscow's Kremlin, the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. And what they all have in common is that they are all masterpieces of bricklaying. And these days, bricklaying is said to be the building block of much of the world we live in. So no wonder the skill has been on the WorldSkills competition list practically from its inception almost 70 years ago. Well, to tell us what modern trends and tricks there are in this profession, here's Igor Zhdanov. Igor, over to you.
Yes, hello, Nikki. Yes, hello, Nikki. Hello. And well, you know this. You probably heard about this video game. It's called Minecraft. It's crazy popular, not just among kids, especially among kids, but also among all ages and all sexes and genders. Well, this, when we talk about bricklaying, this is like Minecraft in reality. I mean, it is a simplified version to when it comes to monsters and stuff, but it is certainly a much more practical thing. And when it comes to bricklaying and to people literally building the world one block at a time, it is also often, it's all about reading shapes and plans. And for instance, here we have a layout of everything that our competitors are going to build in the next few days. But some things are already there. For instance, Project A, look at this. It is shaped like a letter A, and it looks a little bit like one of the Kremlin towers, but yeah, it does look a little bit, I guess. And that is what it looks like in real life. It is an already finished project, and we have a competitor from Team Malaysia starting his work on the next one. They've been doing it since 9:30 in the morning, and so, well, it's quite impressive, I should say. These conditions that they work in are close to perfect, I should say. And that's simply because, well, normally they are supposed to work in all sorts of conditions, outside, inside, in any weather, really. And also, it is important to have safety and tidiness in place too. Well, now we are at Team Austria's area, and I'm being joined by Roland Mittendorfer, and who's an expert on Team Austria. Roland, thank you very much for talking to me. So, tell me, most people, they don't know the first thing about bricklaying. What should they know? Why is it exciting?
The most exciting thing is about bricklaying. You are always on the work. You build up things where people live. You build up high building. You build streets. You have a lot of things, and you see what you are doing.
Well, we can already see that your teammate has already started working on another figure. By the way, let's just move just a little bit there, so that we have all the shapes, all the projects that he will be working on. So, can you tell us what project is he working right now?
At the moment, we are working at a Model B.
Model B.
This is this one, the U from the Russian. He built up at first the two pillars here today and will end about here, and tomorrow we will finish the second model. Then we go ahead with project C.
Project C, yeah?
This is about work for about 3 hours, and here is a little bit difficult. These bricks are cut and they are very small, and you must have a lot of skills to can build up this safely.
And then it is Project E. What is? Do you know what that is supposed to mean? That this is like an ancient symbol?
And a Project E is a little bit difficult because this is not in one alignment. We have some more go down, and some more levels we have here. And it's very difficult for the competitors here.
Well, these are complex forms. For instance, you have like a curve here, and even this shape, like it has like something of a tower going on inside. A lot of curves here as well. Where can this be applied in real life? Like where is that applied in architecture, and in what sort of buildings?
This models here is not in real life. This is only for this competition. In real life, you made brick by brick. You have a big area where you have bricks, but not things like this. This is only for competition that you can find the best bricklayer with the best skills.
What is the time frame? What is the time frame here? What is your team's goal to finish all of the projects?
The competition time is 22 hours, and me as expert together with my competitor, we talk together, we calculate how much time we take by each model. Maybe for the first model, Project A, we say 3 hours, 3.5 is okay. The second model about 5 hours, and then we say how much time we have for the rest.
But 22 hours, it's not in a single run, so to speak. So 22 hours over the course of 4 days, right?
No, the 22 hours are in 4 days, yes. And the first 3 days we have always 6 hours, 2 by 2 hours, and the last day is 4 hours.
How did you get into bricklaying? What made you go and say, yeah, I'm gonna build the world, I'm gonna build stuff?
I'm going bricklaying. This was a very easy way because my father was bricklayer and also my grandfather, and I always say, with 5 years I say, I'm going on the work, I'm going a bricklayer.
Well, yeah, so you were born and your first word was not mummy, but bricklaying, so to speak. So, yes. What would you recommend? Because some might say that bricklaying is for people who like to solve complex problems, for people who like creating, for people who like making things with their own hands. Like, would you agree with that? Would you say that bricklaying is for people like that, or who do you think would be good at bricklaying?
At bricklaying, you must be fit, you must be strong, and you're always on work. You must have skills. You have a plan. You have a 2D plan, and you have to build up the house. You must see where it is, where you need concrete, where you need bricks, where get the plaster, and yeah.
You know, here at WorldSkills, a lot of people, organizers and competitors and former competitors, former champions, they're saying that WorldSkills is changing the world, that the WorldSkills, it also changes lives of people. Would you agree? I mean, you're already here, so it means that you agree with that. How do you expect your life to change? How do you expect the life of this teammate of yours to change because of WorldSkills? What opportunity do you see in WorldSkills for you as a bricklayer?
for me as a bricklayer, the most exciting thing is you learn people know about the whole of the world. We have competitors from Australia, Namibia, South America, we have China, Korea, Russia, we have all here.
Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of countries. I mean, there are plenty of teams competing right now. Of course, none of us know who will take the gold. Everybody, and I mean, I do wish the best of luck to all competitors here, because clearly there are no amateurs here. There are strictly professionals. So, do you exchange like your skill tree with other competitors? Do you like talk maybe in the after hours? Talk and share the technology, not the technology, but the technique. Do you exchange your technique styles maybe and everything? Do you learn from each other?
Yes, sure. We learn from each other. We look how does he build up the joints, or another one have some ideas to do the cutting, the cutting and the drawing on the bricks, and so each other can learn. And at the experts, we have competitors from previous competitions. Maybe in the Netherlands, the expert have won gold in 2003 in Switzerland, and he said, this was for me, and I have here learned a lot, and I will learn other people's also a lot.
Okay, Roland Mittendorfer, thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you for your time. Well, that was bricklaying for you. Now, of course, this is a long run. This is a run that is set to go for 4 days. And, well, in 4 days we will see, of course, we will definitely see much more progress on other figures, on other shapes, on other projects. And I'll be standing by here to show you how these guys and all other teams here fare.
Igor, thank you so much. And I have to eat my words, because earlier I said that bricklaying wasn't beautiful, but it is beautiful. It can be beautiful. You've seen it. Okay, for now, Igor Shtanov, thank you very much.
It's a different kind of beauty.
Back to our studio guest. Back to our studio guest, Pearl now. Pearl, tell us, what are your thoughts on this year's competitions in your skill area?
So my skills is visual merchandising, skills 44, and I have completed in WorldSkills Sao Paulo 2015. But when I walk by this year, it's going to be huge. Like the competition number is increasing. Like that year is like 11, and now it's like already more than that, way more than that. So I would think it would be another challenging competition and a memorable memories for all the champions.
For people watching, for our viewers who might be interested in getting into the job of window dressing, what kind of advice or tips would you give them?
I would say, if you're really interested in art, window display, window dressing definitely suits you, because window dressing is not just about one skills. You have to learn about graphic design. You have to learn about how to build up props by yourself, and yeah, like all the layouts all the skills combined in one skill. So we call visual merchandising. So if you're interested in art, I would really recommend you to interest in window dressing, and also art is including fashion as well. So as you can see, like window dressing is about fashion. So you will be the one to like fit the clothes on the mannequin, and it is the most interesting for me to play with the window dressing display.
And how important is window dressing to boost sales?
I would say one word: wow. It needs wow effects. A wow effect is really helpful for visual merchandising and window display, because I think a good design of window display is let the visitor walk by and then remember your window display design. So like my competition year, I put a big zebra in the window display, so the people walk by and just say, oh, I remember that, the zebra window display. So I would say you have an icon, like, and it makes your window display be a wow factor to audience.
Wonderful. Thanks for those tips, Pearl. like window dressing and visual merchandising, our next skill has the power to make your life brighter, even in the gloomiest days. It has the power to create a balance between what you see and what you feel. It even has healing powers when you need to relax after a hectic day. And all this is floristry, the art which brings you a feeling of inner peace and happiness. Well, Medina, hello. It must be like being at a flower market where you are. You must be feeling very relaxed and cheerful.
Well, I am really enjoying myself here, and I can tell you why. Well, first of all, the first day of the WorldSkills competition is nearly over, but I still have something really special saved for you. Now, some people call this skill a chance to be creative every day and have the ability to spread joy with something you've created. And as we know now, I'm talking about floristry. Now, as you can see, we're standing by the skill area near the stand, and we've got a lot of teams here competing, working on their magic, and we've got the Spanish team here. This is the individual from Spain. Now, as you can see, he's working with his centerpiece and trying to create something personal, something interesting, something really individual. You see how he's looking for a place to place this particular flower. Now we're moving on. We've got the team from Malaysia and then the team from Germany, and I've got the team from Korea behind my back. Now the atmosphere here is really fantastic. I can't even describe all the smell from the flowers. There's so many here. We know that flowers play quite a large part in many aspects of social life, in the decoration of special events and meetings. There are so many things that a florist can create with these precious objects. Centerpieces, entryways, reception tables, bridal bouquets. Well, these are only a few examples of how flowers are used in the business and social event settings. Now, let me give you, Nikki, a bit of a history background. As it turned out, the first flower shop opened in 1875, and back in 1926, the first national professional qualification examinations in floristry were held in the Netherlands. So this business has its history. Floristry could be for you if you are creative, of course, but if you also love all things creative and enjoy arts and crafts, floristry may be a good career choice for you. But another, well, that's quite an obvious thing. Of course, having a love for flowers is necessary in this business. Now, a florist needs to be artistic with an eye for color and design. Then a florist should also have some great communication skills. He should be quite discreet and confidential when dealing with some personal matters of his customers. Now, to discuss this particular skill and to discuss the whole industry of floristry, I'm now joined by Hanna Heikkilä, who is a skill competition manager. Thank you so much for joining me here, and we're gonna talk about floristry, but as I understand, you are a florist designer yourself. Now, tell me please, what made you choose such a profession?
Well, I am a handicraft person, so I want to work with my hands. And floristry is actually, when you are at the basic level or even if you are at the higher level, it's not about ideas and it's not about just designing, but it's about obeying certain kind of rules. And I like it. I like to mix once I have learned them. So I have learned about the study of color. So once I've learned it, I want to test and I want to combine and I want to make different combinations. When I study about the materials, I want to make different combinations again. And you know, nature offers such a massive amount of everything, possibilities and opportunities.
Why do you think that nature has so many possibilities and opportunities? What nature has given to you?
Well, like here, if we only pick the materials from flower market, the test projects would be probably quite boring. But to add the elements from nature, like the little bit not the even branches or not always the perfect flowers or perfect leaves and so on. So we have more characteristic material coming from the nature. And in every country there is the nature is different. So if you travel to South America, you pick up the jungle things. If you come to more to the north, you find out more about the northern style. So you might make very aesthetic things and simple things here, and you might make very rich things here, and it affects also the color and everything. So nature is an inspiration for us.
So basically it's like adding a personal touch of nature to different pieces.
Yeah, and a good floristry design is a work that you can see where it is made and in which type of the year as well. So that is the perfect way to do floristry.
So basically it has a lot of what we can learn from it, you know? So you look at a good florist can look at the bouquet, for example, and tell where and who did it, and what time, at what season was it done.
That's the way. That's the way. And like when we have been making books or some kind of publishes, so from those ones we can see that, okay, this is the spring edition, but it was done late autumn, for example. Because we, as florists, we also know the material when it's growing.
Wow, that is really interesting. And how long did it take you to become a florist?
Well, I did the longest possible way, probably, because I have been studying I was working in a flower shop first, and then I did my exam with apprenticeship. Then I was learning abroad, so I was spending some months away from my home country in a master florist. And then I did my master exam later, and then I became a teacher, and now I work as a teacher. I also do seminars, I do assessments, I do the judging, and I make demonstrations and everything. But yes, it took me more than 20 years, and I'm still not complete. I still have a lot to learn.
Well, that is quite a long career path. That is true. What kind of a piece of advice can you give to those who want to become a florist? Do you think that it's a right way to start by being an assistant, you know, working at a florist shop and just looking? Do you think it's the right way?
I would say it's the best way. First, you think if this is your skill, because many think that you just go and you start by creating lovely things, but it's not the skill. The skill has, first you start with the basic, you start with the handcraft, you work with your hands, and once you know how to wire well a cone, then you know how to do it, but you have to do it not only one time or 10 times or 100 or 1,000 times. Maybe you need to do it 10,000 times, but yes, to start from the bottom, so you have the very flat, good background and base on your skill, and then you just improve your skill, and maybe somebody is good at doing flower arrangement, somebody's doing room decoration, somebody's doing bridal works and so on. And here we are also having different kinds of test projects, so that we try to find the skill in total here.
Well, I've got a last question about just floristry in general. Tell me, what's the best thing for you being a florist?
Happy customer. When the customer comes to flower shop and I have managed to fulfill all the expectations, that's the best thing you can get.
Like smiles from your customers. Happy customers and smiles. Oh, that's really nice. That is sweet, actually. Now, coming back to this competition, if we could talk a little bit more about what's happening here. Now, we're standing near the Germany stand, but we've got so many other teams now taking part in this. What are they doing?
Well, today when they started, they were first splitting the material and conditioning the materials because they need to be taken care of. And then they have created these bouquets that you have been filming here and seeing these here, these gorgeous bouquets in this wonderful big container. And this was supposed to match one of the future buildings here in Kazan, the National Library and Bank. And now they are making this arrangement for the traditional vase, the very traditional Russian vase that you can take the color out. You can split it into pieces if necessary.
So they all have Russian vases to fill?
Yes.
The same vases?
They all have the same, but well, they're not exactly the same because they're hand painted, but more or less they are same. Yeah.
So basically this is the second stage now. They've made one thing already, these big bouquets in big vases, and now they're making this national crafted vases. And what's going to happen tomorrow? All these days, what are the rules? They're going to be creating something every day, right? And learning points.
Tomorrow they are starting with the surprise box. So tomorrow morning there will be a kind of surprise test project coming, maybe a box, maybe with some information. It is going to be interesting. And then they are going to continue in the afternoon with the bridal design. And then they work with, on the day 3, they continue with some more surprise items. And then they continue with hanging wall decoration, which is a room decoration. Then they continue again with plant arrangement, and then again more surprise items coming. So they are making 3 surprise items here.
All right, well that sounds very interesting. Thank you so much for the insights, and we are looking forward to watching how they do that, and especially to watching the bouquets already ready, being ready.
Please enjoy.
Thank you. All right, Nikki, I'm coming back to you. As we just found out, these guys, well, their work has just started. The first day is nearly over, but these guys behind me have another 3 days to compete, and that is some hard work they're looking at.
Medina, it's already looking great. I can't imagine what it's going to be like after 4 days. It's going to look amazing. Thank you for now. We're coming back to our studio guest, Pearl, now. Pearl, thank you for staying with us. We have some very artistic skills on display this hour. Floristry is also very visually stimulating, as you know, as your job is. Do you often use flowers in your displays?
Yeah, sure. That's remind me that I have worked with a florist before with a window display that is type of tableware display, and it's awesome. So art is like everywhere. You can see the skills of painting and decorating and graphic design. We work together for window display, like always.
Tell us, are skills evolving quickly? Because you were here competing 4 years ago. How have things changed in the past 4 years? Has it changed rapidly, or?
Definitely. 4 years before, I'm still a student, like 19 years old. And 4 years later, I'm now work as a freelancer exhibition designer. It's a big change for me. So I would say WorldSkills gave me a lot of opportunity, and yeah, it gave me a highly portfolio for me to get into this industry. And yes, skills really changed my life, so I would say.
Do you feel there's a lot of cooperation between the skills and real life?
Once again? I can't hear you.
A cooperation between skills that you see and real life. Can the skills be applied to real life situations?
Yeah, sure. My skills is called visual merchandising and window display, but I'm work as an exhibition designer. So it shows that skills is definitely related in everyone's real life. So the skills I learned from window display that I always can apply to my skills to exhibition as well. So that's why it's always related. Skills is everywhere.
Well, pretty much everything mechanical that surrounds us on a daily basis and makes our lives so comfortable comes from the skillful hands of engineers. From mobile phones to bridge construction to aerospace projects, engineering is a driving force of creation. But unlike their forefathers decades ago, they're now equipped with modern technologies. With the help of computer-aided design, they can even create 3D animations and videos which show how a ship, a factory, or any other complex object will actually function in the real world. With more on that, here is Alexei Yaroshevsky again. Alexei, tell us more.
Hello, yeah, I told you before that this is one of the skills that I had very little clue of, unlike the 4 before that I've covered today. But now I know that this is basically a computer-aided design, mechanical engineering involving CAD, meaning that it can be done in so many different ways, it can be implemented in so many areas, and you have to be really, really focused just as this lad over there from Great Britain working right now, to be able to actually do it. But I will have Anastasia Morozova, an expert on mechanical engineering CAD, to actually tell me more, because like many people I suspect around the world, this is something not exactly new, a couple of decades in the, already in the business, but still, can you just tell us what is going on here?
Okay, actually, you are right. What mechanical engineering and engineering itself exists for many years. What we guys are doing, we're inventing new things, new products, but we're using computer in order to automate a lot of different things. And again, the automation and the computer is not new, but modern technologies and modern trends brings a lot of innovation in this area as well. For example, modern artificial intelligence, machine learning, what this technology can do with pretty much old-fashioned computer-aided design. This is an example of a thing which actually...
What is it?
Yeah, it's a holder. This is a holder, just simple holder, but this holder was printed on 3D printed, and actually it was designed by computer. Means
Fully
what?
automated, right?
Pretty much, pretty much. We still should show the places where the next holder will be, and we should tell the different parameters of this device, and after that we will ask algorithms or computer to design this thing, and the methodology we'll call generative design.
This is a holder, but what else can a machine produce? Maybe a cup or...
It doesn't matter. The thing which is important, you should say the limits, how the product will behave in the future, what kind of material you will use to produce this product, what kind of production tool you will use, and after that you will ask computer, dear computer, could you provide me several examples? And you actually can receive tens of examples, hundreds of examples, which will match the limits, the requirements which you set.
Anastasia, I see a lot of competitors around here. What qualities must a mechanical engineer in CAD possess?
Yeah.
I see that they're very focused.
Yeah.
What else?
First of all, it's creativity, because you should actually invent a new product, a new device. And creativity is extremely important for them. But as well, we should have a lot of soft skills, because in the current environment, you can't just alone invent a car or any kind of industrial machinery. You should work in a team. You should collaborate with different kind of specialization inside of engineering. You should after that to work collaborative with production, with guys who will maintain the future product, and all what is about open mind, about collaborative environment, about understanding how the tool, the device or the product will behave in the future is very important for those guys.
But it can be applied to just about any industry, air and space, car making.
In theory, yes, but this is the trend of the future. What all new products are created in collaborative team and environment, and doesn't matter what you are doing from hard skills point of view, you should have pretty much the same soft skills.
Anastasia, thank you very much for the input. I reckon our viewers now know everything about mechanical engineering CAD, right? It's pretty much too complicated for me, I reckon, because it involves a lot of actual software work. But earlier I tried one skill what I think I was pretty good at, and you can have a look. It was at the gardening landscape pavilion over there, just a few hundred meters away, and I think I did good, so you have to check it out now. Well, obviously, sometimes to build something, you have to break something, and I will try my skill with something I've been trying to do for a long time, but never really had a chance. But this is what I've been looking for. Come on. You want to get your hands dirty, you also have to protect your feet. Let's go. Landscape gardening like a pro.
So He is clearly a natural there. Coming back to you, Paul, it's just occurred to me that more and more people now, they do online shopping. They don't really go out to shops anymore. What are the implications for visual merchandising? I mean, can visual merchandising be applied to online shopping at all?
I would say yes, because be a visual merchandiser, we also always have to consider the good view of the product. And from the products, we think about the story, how we can talk about this product with a good, beautiful environment design. And from the story of the product, we explore the design outcome, like the color, the layout, what the things around the products. Yeah, we think about that. So I think it's definitely to help for the international
principles, which is applying them to online. Really, colors, what's stimulating for that particular market that you're aiming for.
Definitely, like I said before, the web design, the graphic design, we always have to work together to make the good point of the product can sell to the audience.
Now, your skill is, of course, visual merchandising, which means that you must really know what makes people tick, what appeals to people. Is there some aspects of psychology that you have to consider in choosing a particular color? Because not all colors appeal to everybody, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say it is interesting to be a visual merchandiser. Like you said, we have to consider anything. We have to.
Okay, well, coming back to you in just a short while, Pearl, thank you for now. Patrick Klarecki, the skill competition manager of print media technology, shared with us his feelings about the competition and all of the tricks of the trade that he's picked up over the years in WorldSkills.
The expert's role is just incredible. We have to know a whole lot about our particular skill, all the technical details, and then we work with the competitors to make sure that they understand the competition, that they're adequately prepared for the competition, not only from a skill perspective, but also from the perspective of being able to just deal with the stress and the excitement of an international competition. I think every competitor is a little bit different. It's much more, some of them are very more outgoing, some of them are very introverted, and so the job of the expert is to kind of draw some of that out or use it as an advantage from a competitor standpoint. So it's, like getting ready for a big prize fight, I think. A lot of it's mental as well as the technical training that you receive. So the expert kind of has to, learn how the competitor works and get them to realize their best total package when it comes to time to compete. I think that, everybody that's competing here in my skill or any of the skills, they're winners. I mean, they're already national champions. So there's that mental, that feeling that, hey, I can achieve this, I can do anything. And I think that sets a really high standard for all the spectators that are going to come here, trying to figure out what it is that they want to do for a career, both young and old alike. I mean, they say people will change their careers maybe 4 or 5 times in their lifetime. Well, I'm a professor in the United States. I teach continuous improvement. So I think all of the experts here with me, we're focused on this competition, but in the back of our mind, we're already thinking about how we can make Shanghai better. So it started small, it's gotten bigger, more high tech. This is massive. This venue is incredible. It's just difficult to even imagine that it could ever have gotten this big.
Well, earlier today, WorldSkills International Chief Executive Officer David Hoey spoke about a world at risk, developing the skill sets to endure, adapt, and thrive. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
The challenge is always, how do you assess and prepare young people? Because it's very simple, the role of education to us, and that is to get young people or anyone doing education workforce ready. And so the challenge for us in running skills competitions is we have to have it quite defined. So you see initiatives being brought into WorldSkills now, like WorldSkills Juniors is one for introducing it at a lower age, and then also exhibition skills here in Future Skills, which to us are what are the skills of the future. Now the big question is, are they skills? Are they industries? Are they technologies? Are they occupations? But it doesn't matter. If you, another expression we love is you can only steer a moving vehicle. You've got to get out there and start showcasing it, and then once people engage with it, you can start to form it into it, and then they can become part of our formal skills competitions. And I think that's the piece around this whole competency and excellency question, is that it's not just giving, you know, getting ready for the workplaces in a competitive global market. The companies, the communities, and the countries that are excellent will succeed the most. So it is a global market we're working in. There's a lot of discussion, do we have a skills gap, or do we have a skills mismatch, or do we have a skills lag? Because it's industry that has to adapt very quickly to the opportunities that are there in the market, and then how do they get the skilled workforce? And what we hear most commonly is the technology and those things exist, but it's the workforce that has that ability to adapt, to learn, apply, and then ultimately it's commercialize what is available to compete on a global market. And so to us, that equation between education, industry, and government is so critical, because all three players have to come together. And every market is different, every country is different. And I think ultimately the future will belong to those who can get that right mix and blend to put in place a commercially viable entity at whatever level it may be, because we are in a global market, and we see the youth of today are way more mobile than they've ever been in the past.
Interesting stuff there. Also, earlier we heard from risk analyst and best-selling author Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He was speaking about the importance of trial and error. So get a pen and paper ready for this one.
Let me give you here a thought experiment to show how important it is to be doing trial and error as compared to theory. We want to make, what's your favorite dish, Dmitry? Your favorite dish?
In the morning.
Pelmeni?
In the morning.
No, in general. Let's say the most sophisticated, complicated dish.
Most sophisticated. Full mix kebab.
Kumis kebab.
Full mix kebab.
Okay, so we're going to have the Dmitry dish. There are two techniques we can do, okay? The first one is we take a plane, fly around the Federation, we land, we go to the university and bring all the chemists. Okay, we fill up the plane with the best chemists of the country you can find in the country, okay, and bring them here. Okay, and then we give them a board with equations, we give coffee, you know, they need coffee to work. I know from academics, you know, they always need coffee, all right? And you give them a lot of coffee and then you make them work, okay? Now that's a competition. The second part is we go and we go around the town here, Kazan, and recruit people who are a little overweight, well-dressed, okay? And then we may do the competition of how to improve on that dish. The people who are, the chemists will have to use theory, the eaters will have to use trial and error. In other words, they take an existing kebab, whatever the dish, and then they add something to it. If you have an improvement, that's called trial and error. If you have an improvement, you ratchet up. If it doesn't taste good, whatever you added, you give it to the chemists. They won't know the difference. Okay? So we have that competition going. Who do you think will win? The chemists or the trial and error people? Trial and error will win. Okay, this is cuisine. Trial and error will win. We have the illusion that this is confined to a few disciplines. In fact, it's so generalized, it's not even funny.
Well, we're coming to the end of day one here at the Kazan Expo Center, and what an incredible day it's been. We've had a front row seat at an array of WorldSkills competitions, as well as a conference and some fantastic audience interaction. Well, just to give you an idea of how the area surrounding our studio looks like, here's Ramon with a little tour for you. So Ramon, show us around. I know it's very noisy out
Nikki,
there. What exactly can we see?
Well, I wanted to get to that in just a minute, but first I was just admiring the work of the manicure artist, the beauty therapy skill area that we visited earlier, and of course I'm quite full on some of the food that we got to test at the cooking area, so that's been fantastic, and I'm sure all of our colleagues who've been working today all day are also very happy with what they have seen, with what they have experienced. But generally, one word to sum up the entire day is probably inspiration. I've talked to so many young people, talked to experts, talked to competition skill managers, and of course everyone is really excited to be here at this competition. After all, we do have some of the top talent that exists out there in the world today, and of course Kazan 2019 WorldSkills is a 69th edition of this event, and the next time they will be celebrating their 70th birthday, if you will. But yes, back to what you were saying, Nikki. We are in the pavilion where our studio is located, and that noise that you've been hearing today, I'll show you exactly what it was in just a moment. But I'm going to ask the cameraman to walk a little bit faster. You can see this green tent. This is where you are right now, Nikki. I think if we were able to look through it, we will see your back right now. And all this noise that you've been hearing throughout our lengthy broadcast this Friday afternoon and Friday morning. And it was these guys, so it was the stonemasons. What they're doing is trying to take this block of whatever this is and try to make a piece of art out of it, or if I was to know if there was some kind of an explanation here. I wasn't really prepared to tell you exactly, but he's working on wood. Let's take a look at the next guy. He is done a little bit more work already. There you go, working with some power tools, and looks like he is in a hurry. After all, this the first day of the first competition day will be over very, very soon. Are you guys spectators? Are you fans?
We are supporters.
Supporters? Can we talk to you for just a second? Yeah. And we actually have some supporters out here. Yeah. Who did you come here to support? What skill?
Yeah, we support our son. Yeah,
oh, wow.
He's stonemasonry. Yeah, from Germany. Over there is his cabin.
Let's check him out.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Can you tell us what's this skill that we're looking at right now? Stonemasonry. It's very old. It's an ancient.
Yeah. You have a traditional about more than 1,000 years. Yeah.
Probably even more than that.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Now they're working with the modern tools and power tools, very loud.
But how they work is the same like the 100 years before. Yeah. You have the air pressure. That's all. Yeah. Yeah, and you have the hard metal. Is this right in English?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's it like? What's it like to live with a son who's constantly working on power tools? Do you sleep?
Oh, that's.
Is it difficult?
Yeah, really difficult. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and best of luck to you in the rest of the competition.
Thanks.
Well, guys, this was an idea of why it was quite loud in this studio today. I believe our time is coming to an end. There is about 3 minutes left in the first competition day, and I think I'll throw it back to you in the studio right now, Nikki. Congratulations to everybody, and we're back tomorrow with more new, exciting stuff. Thanks a lot.
Roman, thank you so much, and I'm so glad we got to show all of our viewers where that noise is coming from. And it's so wonderful that you got to speak to one of the competitors' fathers. I'm sure lots of proud parents are going to be attending over the next 4 days, and it's going to be great if we can speak to more of those too, more of them. Roman, thank you for now. Well, coming back to you, Pearl, we're just about coming to the end of the first day. What have you been doing throughout the day? Has there been anything about the event so far that surprised you or struck you?
Yeah, I haven't walked around the competition area so much because it's just the day one of the competition day. But so far, I would say the most surprised it must be the opening ceremony yesterday. We, the champions, just are waving the WorldSkills flag and walking the first team to face to all the audience. It's a super memorable, beautiful memory for me, and it's like dreams come true. Like I would never think that WorldSkills Kazan 2019 is coming so fast. It's so close and so real right now, and yeah. I would say.
Your friends and family back home must be so proud of you.
Yes, I love it. And especially the flag alley. And we, the champions, just are staying on the stage and watching the WorldSkills flag on. And the fireworks is suddenly, wow. And that moment I was like, I have to remember this beautiful memory for me.
I'm sure lots of people are watching at home thinking, I want to do that too. That's something to aim for. What do you think about the educational programs that WorldSkills promotes?
Education program?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
It's a big educational programs.
Oh, you know, the environment here is so now. I really can't hear you, sorry.
They say that learning is the path to success, and you know, WorldSkills puts a lot of emphasis on education. What do you think about this, about the emphasis on education?
Yeah, I think I am the right example because, as I said, I'm really totally bad student and I was a child, but through learning my skill and finding my passion, and now I feel like I success to work with what I love and do what I love with my skills. So yes, I totally agree with that.
Pearl, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. It's been wonderful to have you keep me company. Pearl So, WorldSkills representative for Asia, who previously competed in the visual merchandising and window dressing skill. I hope you have a lovely time over the next few days. Well, even and more adventures are expected tomorrow starting at 7 a.m. GMT in our live show, which you can watch on the YouTube channel or revisit later on the WorldSkills official site. That's worldskills.org. Well, in the days to come, we will be visiting more competition skills and meeting plenty more interesting people who bring change to our lives thanks to their amazing talents and hard work. I'm Nikki Aaron. We'll see you all tomorrow.